renter's insurance that's less than your coffee order. And simpler, too. Get a quote in seconds, starting at $5 a month.
I think music can be joyful. It can be inspiring. It can inspire through pain. It can inspire through hard memories. But ultimately, what I always hope people take out of music that I'm playing or music that I wrote is some level of just joy. I'm originally from Monticello, Kentucky, which is a small town in kind of southeast Kentucky, right on the Tennessee border. I'm a music educator, a percussion performer, and a composer. My grandfather was a band director and a choir director and owned a music store. My dad is a good trumpet player. I've got several cousins that have music degrees. So yeah, no, there's a lot of music around us. But when I was a little boy, everybody wanted to play basketball. And that's what I did. I woke up every day and that was what I was really passionate about, was playing basketball. Right around the end of fourth grade, my arm started to hurt quite a bit. I talked to mom and dad, and they probably thought maybe you pulled something or maybe you tweaked something. You'll be better in a day or two. After several weeks of that, my dad said, well, let's go to the doctor's office. That day, an orthopedic oncologist happened to be there on a rotation. And he said, I think it's cancer. The doctors said, we kind of have three options going forward. We can
This is Decision 2026 on The Flag.
The polls are now closed, and we are now open for business on Minnesota Primary Night 2026. And across the Gopher State, residents will be watching to see who will represent their party in November's general election. And there is more than the standard amount of intrigue, as both Democrats and Republicans are anticipating some good battles in statewide races for the first time in a long time. Hi again, everybody. Steve Hallstrom here alongside my good buddy Scott Hennen. I'm the host of the Steve Hallstrom Show. Scotty, the host of the What's on Your Mind program. And we're doing a little extra credit here tonight. We don't do a lot typically on primary night because, generally speaking, you have one candidate who's kind of the overwhelming favorite and there's not a whole lot of drama. But, Scotty, we got a little bit of intrigue here on semifinal night across the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, I think we're watching to see if Minnesota goes the way of what Michigan did recently, and New York has done as with their mayor. It looks like Wisconsin's going to do tonight as well, where this really left wing of the left wing, takes hold. And that race will be Peggy Flanagan against Angie Craig. Angie Craig has been known as a moderate Democrat. I'm not sure there's anything in the way of moderate Democrats left anymore, because you either have bona fide socialist, Democratic Socialists of America candidates and those that don't dare offend people that want socialists. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Peggy Flanagan is kind of the favorite in that race because the base in their case would favor her. But that'll be interesting. I think Republicans would love it if Peggy Flanagan is the candidate because there's not much of a race on the Republican side. Michelle Tafoya doesn't really have a race over there. The polling has had her overwhelmingly ahead in that race. She does have Adam Schwarzy in the race as well as Royce White, but those candidates really have not been funded to the degree that Michelle Tafoya has. So be interesting there. And then, of course, Amy Klobuchar is the slam dunk really on the Democratic side for governor. And you got a battle on the Republican side between Lisa Damath, Mike Lindell, Kendall Qualls in that race. So we're watching that one as well. So I would say that, the big one we're watching tonight is Flanagan versus Craig, and then Damath really and Lindell, I think, of the two, because Mike Lindell has the president's endorsement, and Lisa Damath, very well-funded, sort of establishment candidate, Speaker of the House, so got some credibility there. Kendall Qualls actually the endorsed candidate there, so we'll see tonight, too, how much that matters as well.
Yeah. Recent polling in that Tafoya race has her up basically 3-1, almost 4-1 in that area. So she came out of the gates with a lot of momentum, a lot of money behind her as well. And certainly there's good candidates in all these races. You can find somebody good here, but do you have the name recognition? Can you raise the money? That's what it all comes down to. And are you somebody that can create some buzz? And Tafoya having a little bit of that shine on the apple from her days doing TV sports and a lot of exposure on Fox News Channel over the years. She really hit the ground running in this one. And it looks like she's worked hard in this campaign, Scott. Sometimes you'll have a candidate that comes in that doesn't want to mix it up at the ground level with the grassroots people. And Tafoya's she went to the state convention in Duluth and didn't necessarily get the warmest response there, which sometimes happens, but she's been at a lot of parades. I see her social media. She's been working hard to get out and meet everybody in Minnesota, and I think you can give her a lot of credit for the work that she's put in.
And, of course, the mother's milk of politics is name ID, right? You want people to walk into the polls when they're voting and recognize a name, and given her time in the Minnesota media realm as well as nationally covering the NFL, she certainly has that. She presents well. She's a good communicator. So she's got a lot of the attributes that are there, and really that's a potential pickup for Republicans this November. So you put Tafoya in that race, and if the Democrats go Flanagan, you could have a situation like a lot of people are watching in Michigan right now, where you got a Democrat that's retiring, Peters there, and Tina Smith in Minnesota retiring, so it's an open seat, and potential for a pickup, which in a tight midterm could be all the difference in the world. So the math changes quickly. If you have potential Republican pickups in Minnesota, could become that if it ends up being Tafoya versus Flanagan.
There are a number of races that we're going to be watching tonight across the state, and Scott's hit on a few of them already. Scott Jensen, friend of our program here, who's been on many times running for state auditor, and he's in a battle here as well. So there is a few of those other races that we'll be watching tonight as the statewide details unfold. In Minnesota 4A on the Democrat side, there's a primary as well that I'm very eager to see what happens tonight. Shelley Carlson, the former Moorhead mayor, has decided to make a run for the state legislature, and she is taking over in the spot where Heather Keeler was at, as Heather Keeler decided to run for Congress to try to take on Michelle Fischbach. But she lost the party's endorsement at the convention and decided not to go through to the primary race. And so Keeler out of politics, at least for the moment, and Shelley Carlson hopes to take her spot. But she did not win her party's nomination at the district convention. That went to Erica Yoni, I would say a relative newcomer and someone that's a relative unknown. And Shelley Carlson, I can tell you, Scotty, that the Carlson sign game is strong over in Moorhead. I've driven through a few neighborhoods there over the last few weeks, and there are a lot of Shelley Carlson signs out there. It'll be curious to see on this case. And I don't know much about Yoni, although from her biography and what I've read online, it seems like she might be kind of that candidate that lines up with a Peggy Flanagan, is a little bit more liberal. Carlson may be trying to align with the Angie Craigs and Amy Klobuchars of the world, trying to be that establishment candidate. And I think you said it well earlier. These candidates are all being portrayed as the moderates, the candidates like Amy Klobuchar and Shelley Carlson and Angie Craig. I don't know that moderate would be the word that I would use. I think the establishment candidate might be the way to say it, because they would align more with the Chuck Schumers of the party rather than the other side. So we'll see what happens tonight. Carlson would look to be a favorite in that race, but I guess you never know.
Some results coming in from Minnesota now. Amy Klobuchar, 98% of the vote. Lisa Damath, 45%. Mike Lindell, 27%. Kendall Calls, 24%. But mind you, this is with like 1% of the vote counted. So we're super early, but they're starting to trickle in. The polls closed about 13 minutes ago. Early number also has Angie Craig ahead of Peggy Flanagan, 55-43 as well in that race. So, I guess if you're looking for early tea leaves, 1% will get you, I don't know, a little bit of an idea there, but doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot at this point.
I think you wait till you get maybe a third of the vote in, and then you start paying attention. Early on, it's hard to know exactly what you get, and a lot of times you get some of the metro area reporting, and some of the outstate part of the state doesn't get its results in quite as quickly. But as we've seen many times in some of these big Democrat districts, it's the places that should be able to report quickest that are oftentimes the slowest. So we will see. There's a race for I guess you could say a race, we put that in air quotes today, with Amy Klobuchar, who is running for the Democrat position on the ticket for governor. And she is joined by a gentleman I had not really heard much of before, Ben Shearer. But there's not really a contender on that side that's going to give Amy Klobuchar much of a run. So tonight, it's the battle trying to figure out who's going to take on Amy Klobuchar.
AOC, Ilhan Omar, wing of the party, Bernie Sanders, been in Minnesota campaigning for Peggy Flanagan and whatnot. And so a lot of those candidates, again, previously had not been of the left-leaning socialist, ideology, but are having to dance around it. And be very, very careful, because politically you're seeing them rack up some wins. So, and again, this is giving some people in the Democratic Party fits, because they're wondering what's going to happen here. So it'll be something to definitely watch tonight to see if Minnesota goes away. A few of these other states have gone. But even, again, Amy Klobuchar, who previously, if you'd go talk to the Minneapolis business community, they would say, a Democrat, but she's sensitive to business issues. She pushes for less regulation. She does. A lot of that's gone now, at least in the rhetoric. So it'll be interesting to see, how that plays out for sure.
Yeah, there's. You mentioned the Wisconsin race too tonight. That's going to be interesting to watch as well. Francesca Hong in the Democrat primary is hoping to be the candidate that will win in the primary tonight, and the polling has been good for her, very favorable to show the potential for her to be able to advance in this one. There's 1% of that vote in right now, and she trails by about 10%. But these results at this point really don't mean much of anything at all. And we're just going to watch to see what happens in that race, to see if she's one that's able to move through. As you listen to her talk, Scott, I don't know that liberal, conservative, any of those words come to mind for me. It's sane or certifiable, because when you listen to her, she just doesn't sound very intelligent. She doesn't sound very sure of herself. And some of the things that she has said in the past about the ridiculous quotes about, like, we need to outlaw Thanksgiving and we don't want any police and things like that. And now she's saying, I've evolved my position. It's interesting that Democrats seem to evolve their positions and change as you get closer to the elections, and Republicans kind of double down on who they've been all along. So will the people in Wisconsin who have her in polling in a pretty good spot, will they believe that she's somebody that they want to represent her as a Democrat side of things out there against a guy who's a relative unknown out there? There's just not a real well-known Democrat candidate out there going against who it looks like will be Tom Tiffany, the Republican.
Yeah, interesting thing about that race is the governor of Wisconsin, who's, I forget if he's term limited out or what, but he's not on the ballot, he's not running for re-election. Evers is his name, is a very liberal governor.
Democrat, yes.
Yeah, and of course Wisconsin is getting more and more liberal. Anyway, he was so worried about this candidate that had emerged as the Democratic Socialist candidate and would be the first first Democrat governor from the Democratic Socialist side. They don't have any governors right now in office. Obviously, have mayors and a few in other races. He recruited a candidate into the race, I'm talking about the governor of Wisconsin now, that had previously dropped out to get back in the race because he was so worried about Hong being the nominee. So, but a lot of the polling had her way up, so it'll be interesting to see what happened. Lindsey Graham's sister did win the Senate primary runoff there. They had 14 candidates on the Republican side running down there. And
that's amazing.
Out of 14, she got 32%. So she was, that's saying something when you have 13 opponents. And then another, or the Republican candidates, Ralph Norman, those two will advance to a runoff to see who is the Republican nominee. But Darlene Graham, filling the seat of the late Lindsey Graham, doing pretty well tonight in South Carolina.
North Dakotans had their primary elections a little while ago in June, a few weeks back, and no real surprises happening there. We had some local elections that certainly mattered. So North Dakota has had its moment in the sun already, while Minnesota has waited for its opportunity to pick the candidates that it wants to move forward to November's general election. It's a non-presidential year, so we don't have the drama of who will be the top of the ticket kind of candidates and how will that drive voting participation going down a little further. And I was thinking about the hypothetical, Scotty, and what could have happened and what might have been. And I think on the Republican side, you've got certainly a race that people will want to get out and get involved with in November with Tafoya, who will likely come out tonight if the polling is anywhere near accurate against either Craig or Flanagan. And then on the governor's side, you've got on the Republican side, you should have a candidate that gets some steam, whether that's a Mike Lindell or whether that's Lisa Demuth, to try to go against Amy Klobuchar. I would say that either of them or anybody really, Kendall Qualls, anybody on the Republican side will be a significant underdog. But you have told me that you think that race may be winnable for Republicans. Scott, tell me more about that.
Yeah, it depends on who the candidate is. Well, first of all, if you look at Amy Klobuchar's election victory and her numbers, she's fallen in the last number of elections. And she, against Royce White, arguably a poor candidate, he was the Republican nominee the last time she was up in the Senate race, she only got 56% of the vote. So, think about that. That number isn't exactly a gold standard number if you're a Democrat and someone is popular. So there's a sign that, her popularity is dimming a little bit. And then, obviously, if you had Lisa Demuth, I believe would probably be the strongest candidate against her just because Speaker of the House, political, experience helps a little bit. She is a woman, so you've got a woman versus woman. She's a minority. And so I think, some of those factors in Minnesota could make a difference there. The argument for Mike Lindell would be the Trump crowd. Are there enough of them in Minnesota? I don't know. So those two, I guess, would be very interesting. But I think anybody goes into that race, no matter who the Republican is, at a bit of a disadvantage starting. You never know how it's going to go. One I think, concern for Klobuchar's camp is she's been really silent on the fraud. She's not said much about it at all. She's not had it as an issue. And obviously when it comes up now, she talks about being tough on fraud. But our friends at the American Experiment went and examined like 2,000 press releases since 2020, and there wasn't one mention of fraud in any of her press releases. So
yes,
that could be a vulnerability for her.
That's a great point, Scott. Glad you brought that up. The Republicans' chances, I believe, you and I love Mike Lindell, and there's not a better warrior for the conservative cause. But I think to too many Minnesotans, he's seen as the crazy pillow guy for one reason or another. Not saying it should be or shouldn't be, but I just believe that's going to be the honest take. I don't believe that he can win. I think Demuth is a long shot as well. But if Demuth is the candidate that comes out tonight, and the Republicans can somehow pin the fraud piece to Amy Klobuchar, which is going to be extremely difficult, because she can just say, well, I was in D.C., I was working for Minnesota there, I wasn't part of that. And I don't think most Minnesotans go into this after tonight feeling like Amy Klobuchar is responsible or bears any culpability in what happened in Minnesota. That will be the biggest job of Demuth or Lindell or whoever comes out tonight, is to try to make this something that they can somehow, some way pin on her. I just think that task is going to be really, really tall.
Yeah, no, again, political prognosticators would tell you that's absolutely the case on paper. You never know in these races what's going to happen, but I think the big question, I've said it many times on the air, people have to go into these primaries to say who can win, who has the best chance of winning come November. That's really what you need to ask yourself. A lot of people are concerned that Michelle Tafoya is not pro-life.
Yes,
and has a heartfelt story about it. I think addresses it very well, but on the Republican side, that can be challenging. On the other hand, politically speaking, it's not a liability in Minnesota, sadly.
Not the way it would be here in North Dakota.
No. So again, those are political calculations that you have to sit and say, okay, who can win this race? Who has the best chance?
And when you think about what it could mean for Republicans to actually gain a Senate seat in Minnesota, how narrow that balance is. And it seems like every day, Scott, I read some article about, well, now the Republicans are favored to win this one but lose the other, and the next week it'll be the Democrats now have turned the tables on this. But if somehow Michelle Tafoya could turn that in Minnesota and win that Senate seat, that's a seat I don't think anybody's expecting. Most people don't expect that to be in play. I saw that Elon Musk is going to dump a gazillion dollars into this midterm for certain candidates, but the Minnesota Senate race was not one that had been identified as one that he would put money behind. That's an interesting dynamic to me, because I feel like, especially if it's a Peggy Flanagan win tonight, that I think Michelle Tafoya has a really good chance. Against Angie Craig, I feel like Minnesotans will go for the blue. But I feel like against Peggy Flanagan, who is one of those, as I said earlier, sane versus certifiable, she's in the latter category.
Yeah, and I don't know that I think most people that are considering getting into the race financially, in the case of Elon Musk or with endorsements, are going to wait to see what happens before they decide whether they're going to be in or not. But again, I think if it ends up being Tafoya versus Flanagan, you're going to see a lot the money pour into that race.
Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
That'll ignite Republicans. I really believe it will.
Yeah, and it'll be a potential pickup. That'll be real. I mean, I think the last poll I saw when it was doing head-to-head versus who are they going to, who are the potential candidates, there was a 1% difference. Flanagan had a 1% lead on Michelle Tafoya. So it tells you right there, just from the hypothetical of who faces who, that she would be formidable in that race for sure.
Some early results coming in from the Wisconsin governor's primary on the Democrat side. Crowley, who is considered the establishment, more the establishment than Hong, who's considered the DSA, and we might just as well come out and call her an outright communist, because that's really what she is, in addition to just having nothing that makes any sense at all coming out of her mouth. But Crowley, with 4% of the vote in now, has a lead of about 3,000 votes, 12,700 to 9,967. But again, extremely early there. But 3,000 votes is 3,000 votes no matter how you get them, and that's 3,000 that Crowley doesn't have to find at some point down the line a little bit later. We are starting to get some very early results. We'll continue to update those because, well, what else do we have to do here tonight with you? Keep you updated on results. In the state of Minnesota right now, 6 of the 87 counties are reporting. It's less than 1% of the vote, 24 precincts out of about 4,100. But the early numbers here, Lisa Demuth 39, Mike Lindell 34, Kendall Qualls 22. On the Democrat side, Amy Klobuchar about 95%. If the Associated Press has not already come out and called that one, I think they might as well do it because that one is a done deal. I think as soon as the polls close, I'm checking Star Tribune to see if they have posted anything, and they do not yet have anything there, but they might as well just go ahead and get that one done. Talking about U.S. Senator on the Republican side, you've got Adam Schwartzy with 37%, Michelle Tafoya 37%, Royce White with 13%. So dead heat there early on there. In the Democrat primary, Peggy Flanagan with a big lead, although again extremely early, 54% to 39%. It almost feels foolish to be giving you any results at this point.
I was just noting portions.
But there are results. So
portions of 6 of 87 counties have reported, and we're talking about the total precincts, 4,105. 24 are in. So it's nice that we have some numbers because, as you said, there are numbers, but I don't think they tell us much yet in Minnesota.
No. There are a bunch of congressional primaries as well. Minnesota has 8 congressional districts, and they are all up for re-election every 2 years. So there's nobody like a John Hoeven or a Kevin Kramer or someone like that gets to take a couple of election cycles off. There does not appear to be a whole lot of drama on most of the Republican side, and there are some pretty well-known people in those mixes. Our audience will know that Michelle Fischbach is the incumbent congresswoman from District 7. She does not have a primary challenger. In District 8, which would be the Arrowhead region, Pete Stauber, the incumbent there, does have a primary challenge from Anthony Hamilton. I have not ever heard one thing about Anthony Hamilton. In District 6, Tom Emmer has a challenge from 2 people, Chris Corey and Mike Foley. In District 5, there will be a new Congress challenger on the Republican side. Ilhan Omar is the District 5, Congressional District 5 representative from that district. There are 4 people who have gotten in that race down in the Twin Cities there. Abby Ziska, John Nagel, Angie Windhauser, and Dahlia Al-Akidi, who shares some of that African descent with Ilhan Omar, but most people believe that that's Omar's race there, as will be the District 4, Betty McCollum, the incumbent congresswoman there, the Democrat. There are 3 challengers that hope to win tonight to take her on: Jean Reitzeigel, Paul Wickstrom, and Paul Zhang. Again, you never heard of any of them, so their chances probably not all that great. District 3, Tyler Bass and Quentin Whitrock will be going against, whichever wins there, will go against Kelly Morrison, the incumbent Democrat there in District 3. District 2, Eric Pratt, the Republican, is running unopposed in the primary. And I believe this is a district where that might be Angie Craig's district because there is not an incumbent there, a bunch of the people whose names are not familiar here. And then you've got Brad Finstead in District 1 in southern Minnesota, the incumbent Republican. He's got 2 primary challengers there and then a couple of Democrats. But that is seen to be a pretty solid district for Republicans there. So there may be a little bit of turnover there. It's going to be really hard to beat Democrats in the Twin Cities. It's going to be really hard to beat Republicans in the outstate area. And Minnesota has certainly become that area. Scott, we see that in North Dakota where you take a look at Grand Forks and Fargo, Bismarck, and you say, there's definitely some blue tint in those cities. But you still have a state where Republicans can fare fairly well and win a race kind of no matter where you're at. In Minnesota, it's just a different dynamic.
It is. And by the way, that Angie Craig seat is seen as a potential pickup for Republicans because that's a bit of a purple district without the incumbent there. That could be interesting. We now have 15 of 87 counties, about 5% of the states reporting in Minnesota now. So we do have at least some double-digit numbers here. In the Republican primary for governor, Lisa Demuth and Ryan Wilson are at 44%. Mike Lindell and Phil Parrish are at 32%. And next, Kendall Qualls and Brian Nicholson at 20%. So Dameth up to a lead there of about 12 points. And Amy Klobuchar with 88% of the vote. So closest challenger there is at
They're gaining on her, Scotty.
5%.
Yeah.
So there's not much there. Let's bounce over to the Senate race and take a look at that for you here. Why am I not able to bounce back to the Senate race? Here we go. Okay. And again, this is still early, but it is now at least about 4.5% of the precincts reporting. On the Republican primary race, you have 55% for Michelle Tafoya, 22% for Adam Schwarze, and 10% for Royce White, the top three in that race. So again, pretty significant lead for Tafoya. And the race we're all watching, on the Democratic side for the Senate, Peggy Flanagan with a healthy early lead, 56 to 41% over Angie Craig. So,
Scott, I want to ask you about Kendall Qualls. I don't know that I've met a guy that I like any more on first impressions than Kendall. He checks every box that you'd want as a conservative. Happens to be a person of color as well. Not that probably should mean anything, but to some people it still does. A guy that you'd think could reach out across the aisle, a guy who came from nothing and has run a very successful business, and a guy a good-looking guy, well-spoken, seems very sharp and articulate, has got a good business background.
Veteran,
absolutely. And, I mean, he's everything you'd want in a candidate, yet it just seems like he can't get the momentum to really make it happen. And in a race like this one where it would seem to be an open opportunity here for a Republican to win that primary and go forward, it doesn't look like he is going to really be in there at the end. What is missing from the Kendall Qualls ticket, do you think, that could get him maybe some results and get him a win somewhere along the way?
Well, for one, he has not been a prolific fundraiser. And obviously in these races, you need the support to be able to run a really good campaign. And at the convention, which he did win the endorsement in the convention, which was crazy because of voting irregularities and all kinds of things. It was a bit of a dumpster fire, but he did ultimately win that. It was a three-way race, obviously, between Dameth, Mike Lindell, and Kendall Qualls, and Mike Lindell threw his support to Kendall Qualls, and Kendall Qualls won. But he was very short on funds then and really hasn't raised a lot of money since. So I think in order to be a serious candidate in Minnesota, you got to be able to raise money. You really do.
Sad but true.
Yeah, and Lisa Dameth and Michelle Tafoya have overperformed in that area very, very well.
All right, it's 34 past the hour of 8 o'clock here. Polls have been closed now for about 35 minutes, and we're going to take a short break here and come back, update you on the results. If you would like to talk with us, give an opinion, give a compliment or a critique, a comment, anything like that, ask a question, we would love to hear from you tonight as well. We want this to be your show as much as ours. So if you've got a comment, let us know. 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. You can call or text that number tonight, and we'll be glad to take your call, your comment, your question. You're listening to Primary Night 2026, the great state of Minnesota, on AM 1100 The Flag, WZFG.
Decision 2026. Your calls at 701-271-1100 and more election coverage in minutes on The Flag.
Hey, Kevin and Alex from the Need to Know Morning Show, and we want to celebrate our incredible teachers before they head back to school with a free lunch.
If you're a teacher or a school staff member, join us at the Flag Family Studios Wednesday, August 12th from 11 to 1.
We have a variety of food trucks and prizes. It's our annual Teachers Appreciation Picnic. Wednesday from 11 to 1. The public's also invited.
Much thanks to our sponsors, Glass Doctor Auto of Moorhead, Minco Construction, Kingpins Thunder Road, the UND Alumni Foundation, and the Flag.
The new Smokin' Iron in West Fargo makes your week taste better. From after-work apps and drinks to delicious dinners. Stop in for happy hour specials Monday through Sunday, featuring $2 off appetizers. And Monday pairs perfectly with half-price select bottles of wine. Tuesday, it's $5 off margaritas and palomas. And Wednesday, classic cocktails shine with $5 off old fashions and Manhattans. Fresh food, great value, friendly faces. Make Smokin' Iron in West Fargo your new favorite dinner destination.
Campaign ads, political consultants, party insiders, social media. There's no shortage of people telling you what Minnesota voters think. But here's a better question. What do swing voters actually think about Minnesota's race for the U.S. Senate? At Minnesota Farm Fest, the swing voter pilot put the focus on Minnesota's independent and undecided voters, the people who can make the difference when November comes. They heard from the candidates. They considered the issues, and then researchers asked them what they thought. Who wins on the issues? Who made the strongest impression? And which candidates win with swing voters? The results might confirm what you've been hearing, or they might surprise you. Don't settle for somebody else's political spin. See the research, inform your vote. Visit theswingvoterpilot.com, theswingvoterpilot.com. Hi, Scott Hennen here. Question, are you frustrated with your financial advisor because you feel there's nobody there to answer the phone? Are they on summer hours? Try calling the team at Collins & Kroc. They keep normal business hours for your convenience, not theirs. At Collins & Kroc in Fargo, they'll answer the phone, 235-0119. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Service Advisors, Inc. Collins & Kroc is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. If you're looking for a spot in Fargo that's more than just dinner, head to No Bull Smokehouse, downtown Fargo. Great food meets a great atmosphere. And they're serving up award-winning barbecue smoked daily. Everything from tender brisket to fall-off-the-bone ribs and mouth-watering pulled pork. Pair it with craft cocktails, cold beer, and a fun, high-energy vibe. Perfect for a night out or a late-night bite. No Bull Smokehouse, MP Avenue, downtown Fargo. Online at nobullfargo.com. No shortcuts, just seriously good barbecue.
Is your ride ready for the open road? Before you head on out, cruise on in to Fix It Forward Auto Care at any of our 5 convenient Fargo-Moorhead locations for a pre-trip inspection. Our team will identify and prevent potential issues to ensure your vehicle's safety and performance. Now backed by our 777 coverage, that's a 7-year, 77,000-mile warranty on repairs. We'll have you driving every mile of the journey with confidence. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
This back-to-school season, be good to yourself with a new mattress from Comfort King. Built with the world's best components, we have mattresses to fit all budgets and every comfort preference. Starting at just $198, get a better mattress at a better price. Now for a limited time, get free sheets and a free mattress protector with qualifying purchase. Sleep well, live well. Comfort King, the original mattress factory of the Dakotas.
This is Decision 2026 on the Flag.
Steve Hallstrom and Scott Hennen here on Minnesota Primary Night 2026. Waiting for the results to come in. A couple of races have been called. If they're being called this early, obviously they weren't expected to be much of a race. But Tom Tiffany is declared the winner in Wisconsin of the Republican governor's primary. And he now waits to see if he'll take on Crowley or Hong, who are in basically a dead heat there in Wisconsin right now. And it looks like about 31% of that vote is in. So that's starting to add up fairly quickly over there. And no surprise, Amy Klobuchar, according to the Associated Press, has won the Minnesota Democrat governor's primary, and she now will await the winner of the Republican side of that. And, Scotty, you've been checking some results on Minnesota Secretary of State's website.
Yeah, we're inching toward 10% of the vote in now on the Senate race on the Republican side. We're watching that one fairly closely, but poll numbers suggest Michelle Tafoya is the favored candidate, and she has 57% of the vote now. Her closest challenger, Adam Schwarzy, at 22%. He was the Republican-endorsed candidate, and Royce White at 10%. So a pretty healthy lead for Michelle Tafoya there. On the Democratic side, where the real race is, Peggy Flanagan inching up to a significant little lead there, 52% to Angie Craig's 45% in that particular race. So that's where they're sitting on the Senate side. Let's go over and take a look at the governor's race. And over there we have on the Republican side, Lisa Damuth with 46% of the vote, Mike Lindell at 30%, Kendall Qualls at 20%. And on the Democratic side, you said that one's already called for Amy Klobuchar because she's at 90% of the vote right now. So not much of a race there, as we knew, Steve.
Pretty much done there. We're watching the results also of the Republican primary for state auditor, where Scott Jensen, who ran for governor in the last election cycle, is running now. And Scott is off to a big early lead. As Scotty mentioned, about 8% of precincts are in, so still fairly early. But that's one, Scott, where I think some early results could last. I think some early results can be telling in some races where there's just not going to be a lot of geographical separation. I think Minnesota Republicans really appreciate Scott Jensen, the work that he's done, and certainly would have been a strong candidate if he'd have run for governor again. I guess he initially thought about doing that, then made a change to that. But about 2/3 of the votes so far are coming in for Scott Jensen. If you look at just the vote count, he's got about 33,000 votes. Nate George in second with 12,700. Then Will Finn, the third candidate there, who, from what we can tell, didn't run much of a serious campaign here in the primary. And he's at 3,400 or so. And so that's the state auditor race there on the Republican side. There doesn't also figure to be a whole lot of drama for the Attorney General in the primary, Scott, but that'll be one that'll be interesting to watch in November as well. You've got Keith Ellison, the longtime incumbent Democrat, and then Ron Schutz on the Republican side. Both of them either running unopposed or will win easily. Is there a chance there for Schutz? I think polling is showing him within about 7-8 percentage points. Ellison will be tough to beat in that race, no question.
Yeah, no, I think that's one possible pickup. Again, Keith Ellison's been right in the middle of this fraud thing. So you've certainly got some baggage on the Democratic side. So that'll be interesting to watch. And the auditor race is another one that some people think is, and again, Republicans have struggled to pick up a seat there statewide. So there's lots of potential tonight on that front.
All right, 44 past the hour, and we are pleased to be joined on the news line tonight by Lisa Damuth. And Lisa has got a very busy night going on here. Lisa, good evening. Steve Hallstrom, Scott Hennen here with you. Thank you for making a few minutes for us tonight. What are your emotions as you wait for the votes to come in?
Hey, always good to talk with you. Hello, Steve and Scott. We are in the metro area watching results come in. We've got a room of, 100 people that are with us, people that have worked on our grassroots, people that have been doing the hard work along as part of our team. We've got a lot of media here. So the best way I could tell you that I'm feeling right now is completely at peace. Even though we don't know where those results are, I feel very much at peace because of the hard work that has gone in and what we've been able to accomplish together as a large team.
About 8% of the vote in at this point, and you have a 16-point lead on your closest challenger, Mike Lindell, 46% to 30%, and Kendall Qualls down there at 20%. So you have to like the early results, Lisa, huh?
I really do. We're encouraged by these, but again, we've got a night to go where we watch the rest of those results come forward, and that is fine. The important thing is the reason I got into this race is the same thing that will drive me through with a victory tonight and then a win in November is to turn Minnesota back around, make it stronger and better, end the fraud once and for all, and then make sure that we are protecting Minnesota taxpayers and making this state the great state that we know it is, and we don't want to lose that anymore.
The race has been called on the Democratic side for Amy Klobuchar, who didn't really have a challenger in this race, kind of cleared the field when she got into this race, I guess at the request of Tim Walz. If you go on to victory tonight, what's her vulnerabilities? What do you think will be her toughest argument for Minnesotans?
When you look at Amy Klobuchar and the work that she has done for 20 years, she's been in office, she's been running for office for 30 years. She is no different than Governor Walz is. She is a career politician. Like I said, she's been running. I have to be able to deliver the changes that Minnesota needs, where we've walked watched an $18 billion surplus be spent and lost to fraud and more. Amy Klobuchar is not going to be the one that can come in and clean house at the level that needs to be done here in the state of Minnesota.
Lisa, Steve Hallstrom here again. If you take a look at the campaign you've had in the primary so far, what are you most proud of that you've done, or a point that you've made, or a strategy point that you put out there that you think has worked really well for you?
Yeah, our campaign itself, we've had grassroots and volunteers that have stepped in and said, we just want to help with what needs to change here in Minnesota. And so I don't look at it as just me, yes, as the candidate, but it has been an absolute team approach with the right motivation to change this state and give us that hope that is so desperately needed. That's what I'm most proud about, the people that have come alongside that want to make things better.
All right, have fun at the watch party, and we'll.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Lisa Dameth, the Republican candidate, along with, by the way, her running mate Ryan Wilson is an impressive fellow too. He is a former Republican candidate, came closer than anybody to winning a statewide race in a long time as an auditor down there, and the two of them have been running from the very beginning in this race. Again, latest numbers: 46% for Dameth Wilson. Closest, Mike Lindell is at 30%, and then 20% for Kendall Qualls and Brian Nicholson. And the Wisconsin race was just called for the Democrat socialist chef
Francesca Hong,
who wants to cancel Thanksgiving.
Is that right?
Yeah, I guess
okay.
It's popular in the Democratic Party. Canceling Thanksgiving has been the winning ticket item tonight.
That's interesting. They must have some population trends they're following there, because it's not far along in that race. I think there's still only about 40% of the vote in, and it still was fairly tight. And in fact, I'm on the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's webpage right now, and David Crowley right now has a 55-25 lead over Hong in that Democrat governor's primary. So they must know where those votes have come from and figure that they know exactly what's going to happen in the other districts, Scotty. That's interesting that race has been called so early, because I think one of the storylines with these Democrat socialist candidates is you don't know how that message is going to play in every part of Wisconsin. There's a lot of very conservative places in Wisconsin, and so that surprises me that they're making a call that early when this whole DSA phenomenon is really new on the political realm.
Yeah, I think they do exit polls. South Dakota had a runoff for governor, and I happened to be down in South Dakota the night it was happening ahead of field day for Hefties down there, and it was like 1%, 2%, 3% of the vote in, and they called it for the incumbent governor, why is his name escaping me right now, Larry Roden, down there in a race that everybody thought was going to be a squeaker. And so they have some tools, they're able to do that. So that's interesting.
Okay.
A few more results in now as we continue to get results. We're up at about 11.5% now in the Minnesota race. And the horse race kind of continues to be the same. Numbers are fluctuating a little bit. The latest numbers now, Lisa Dameth at 42, just shy of 43%. Mike Lindell dips to 29%, and Kendall Qualls just a hair under 20. We already told you the race has been called on the Democratic side for Amy Klobuchar, as that one is way ahead. So the other one we're watching rather closely would be the Senate Republican face-off and the Democratic face-off there. And right now you have Michelle Tafoya with 50% of the vote. I wonder when that one's going to get called. It'll be interesting because it's a pretty widening lead for her. 22% for Adam Schwarze, 9% for Royce White. On the Democratic side, a little closer, but still a pretty big league. Peggy Flanagan, 51% to Angie Craig's 44% on the Democratic side. So from the early numbers coming in, the horse race hasn't changed too much.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if these races, this is the one, right, where you've got something on both sides that could energize each party. So I'm going to be curious to find out how many Republicans come out to vote in this and how many Democrats come out to vote in this. And as I do the math on it right now, we've got about 90, what do we have here? About 50, about 90, about 93,000 people have voted in the Democrat primary, and we have about 55,000 on the Republican side. So I guess no surprise. I think there figures to be a lot more drama on the Democrat side than the Republican side tonight. And Scott, that polling has been 50-50 all along. It's been airtight from the very beginning on this one. And I think the last poll I saw from KSTP was 40% for Flanagan, 40% for Craig, 20% undecided. And that's about as even as a horse race gets at this point.
Yeah, and I think obviously the energy right now among Democrats nationwide is with these socialists. They're the ones that are racking up the wins. They're the ones that are, Bernie Sanders AOC rallies are jammed to the rafters. And so that's on the Democratic side where the energy is. So it doesn't surprise me that.
All right, Fox News has just called the Tafoya race.
All right.
At 50, yeah, so they feel like they know what they need to. 14% in, so their numbers are ahead of the website for Secretary of State. I'm not sure how they're doing that. Maybe our internet feed's a little slow. But they've got, right now, Tafoya with 50 points. Their percentages are the same as what we're showing. So they have another 4% basically in, but the numbers haven't changed. Tafoya at 50%. Schwartzy at 22%, and then Royce White in single digits. So they've seen enough on Fox News Channel. They've called that race. The Associated Press has not called that race at this particular moment, but that is one that Fox News Channel says is a done deal now for Michelle Tafoya. And so
not surprised.
Not a surprise,
no.
And the Tafoya party can get everybody home in bed by 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So really what we're watching now in Minnesota is the Democratic nomination battle for the Senate, and that's obviously between Peggy Flanagan, who leads now 51 to 44% over Angie Craig, and then on the Republican side, the governor's race with Tafoya, Lindell, and Qualls in that race. And right now, again, a pretty healthy lead for Lisa Damuth, who we just spoke with moments ago, and her running mate, Ryan Wilson, against Mike Lindell. He'd be number 2 in that race right now, and then Kendall Qualls.
Yeah, Scott, the latest polling we saw out of the Twin Cities, KSTP TV does as good a job as anybody down there on polling. And when the president came out and endorsed Mike Lindell, Mike got out to about a double-digit lead. I forget it was 9 or 10, but it was something like that. It was a very close, or it was not very close at that time. And then the last poll showed it had closed slightly, but Lindell still had like a 7-point lead. And now I saw some things like on Kalshi, some of the prediction markets, that Damuth actually was now a slight favorite. Interesting to see that kind of a shift happening so close to the primary. What do you, if there really was a shift like that, that puts Lisa Damuth ahead, and again, this is all hypothetical, so it might be foolish for us even to get into it too much, but why do you think that Damuth was able to close that gap so quickly in just the last couple of weeks?
Well, some people are saying it's because of Mike Lindell's. He had a concept on how to deal with the illegal immigration issue, focusing on the worst of the worst, and not focusing on individuals that were here with one offense coming into the country illegally, but hadn't committed any other crimes. And it quickly got labeled as amnesty.
Yeah.
And he quickly said, "I can't. This is just a concept," and had to sort of do a cleanup on aisle 5 there. And that's what I've seen. Pollsters and pundits suggesting that was about the only thing they could come up with a explanation of why that did flip like it did.
Interesting. Yeah, within a party primary, if you are a Republican, it doesn't matter what state you're in. You got to navigate that. The things that work for you in the primary don't always work in the general, and vice versa. And Minnesota Republicans do not want to hear the word amnesty at the grassroots level, certainly. So that could definitely be the case as well. I'm taking a look at some other websites, and Scott said he saw a few minutes ago where Francesca Hong has been named the winner by one of the major reporting entities there. I'm looking at
Newsmax is where I saw that.
Okay, a couple other places have not called that yet, so maybe there's still some uncertainty out there, but at least one shows that it's a
last number I saw
Hong.
there had a pretty significant lead for her, but I haven't seen it for a while now yet. Finstead, also the projected winner in the Minnesota congressional race. Their overwhelming win, 78% to 12, I guess, with the numbers so far.
Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reports now with about 37% of the vote in Wisconsin that David Crowley leads Francesca Hong 40 to 37, 41 basically to 37. But again, if someone has seen where the votes have come from and knows how the DSA candidate's going to poll, perhaps in places like Madison and Milwaukee, they maybe have the algorithms figured out to go ahead and make that call, which they apparently have. The Finstead race, not a surprise, Scott. He is out to massive early leads, about 81% right now in that District 1. So not a surprise there. A strong incumbent. I think a guy who's respected quite a bit down in southern Minnesota.
Very much so. On the Senate, the House Ag Committee, and a real player there. So not surprised. That one is not in doubt.
I imagine that we've got a lot of Ilhan Omar fans out there listening tonight. And if you are curious if she has any primary challengers that could unseat the one and only Ilhan Omar, the answer is no. She's got about 77% of the vote so far, and I don't know if that one's been called, but they sure could. Likewise, Tom Emmer right now with 82% of the vote in Congressional District 6, the incumbent Republican there, looks like he's going to have no trouble as well. Michelle Fischbach running unopposed, so she's definitely into that mix there. Pete Stauber, my guess is that race will be called in a moment as well. He's got 88%, so not much of a challenge coming from the other Republican in that race as well. The district you talked about, Scott, that could potentially be a Republican pickup. Interesting to watch this district, too, because there is only one Republican running, and that's Eric Pratt. And then on the Democrat side, you've got 6 different people, and it's spread out pretty well. One candidate's got about 48%, another about 30%, another 21%, another 16%. So once Democrats are able to rally and find out who their candidate is, that candidate may pick up a little bit of steam. But, Scott, I think there is some value to running unopposed on one side where you build up that name recognition and you're not trying to win anything on primary night. You're just trying to build on the momentum, have one candidate out there on your side through the entire race. Isn't a bad thing sometimes.
Not at all, and that's why some are seeing that as a potential pickup, in that particular race, because Angie Craig has I think that's actually Tim Walz's old district, which again, Tim Walz, when he was a member of Congress, was very much different than the Tim Walz we know as governor, or the Tim Walz that was the vice presidential running mate of Kamala Harris, because he had to be in that particular district. So again, you lose the incumbent there and you got a potential pickup. So, and you're right. I think when the battle is on the Democratic side, folks can come out of the primary a little bruised up, and if the Republican candidate hasn't had that inter-party fight, it helps, no doubt about it.
Certainly does. We are watching to see some of those races, as we mentioned, where a candidate is off to a big lead, and the races that we thought would be interesting to this point have certainly started out that way. The Craig and Flanagan race will be the big one that everybody is watching right now. Flanagan continues to lead, and we have about 15% of the vote in, 52 to 45, let's say that. And Scott, the polling says it's going to be close. I don't know how this one's not a good race all night long.
You're talking about the Democratic race.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, it's not an insignificant lead right now, no doubt about it, but that'll be one to watch for sure. If you're the Flanagan camp, even though there's 15% of the vote in, a 51 to, as you say, 52 to 45 is not insignificant, but it also, nobody's calling it quite yet. So.
All right. It is 9 o'clock straight up, so it's time for us to take a short break. When we come back on the other side, we would love to hear from you. Anything you're seeing tonight that is a surprise to you, anything that you're particularly interested in. Is there a candidate that you're cheering for tonight? We'd love to hear from you. Have had a few text messages come in. We'll hit those as well as we continue. This is WZFG, Dilworth, Fargo, Moorhead, USA. It's 9 o'clock.
Decision 2026. Your calls at 701-271-1100 and more election coverage in minutes on The Flag.
This is a Fox News alert. The runoff is set. I'm Lisa Lacera. In South Carolina, Senator Darlene Graham will advance to the runoff in the special Republican primary for Senate.
She will be facing off against Congressman Ralph Norman of Rock Hill. He's a man in his 70s, a real estate developer who's been in the House since 2017. Darlene Graham spent a lot of time on the trail speaking with supporters, telling them she never thought she'd be in the position she is, but that she feels that she'd be able to carry on her brother's legacy for another 6 years.
Fox's Mark Meredith in Columbia. The winner of the runoff will face Democrat Annie Andrews in the general election. In Wisconsin, Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong is hoping to win the nomination for governor.
She is a member of the state assembly. She's a former chef, and she's found, at least around the parts that she's seen success in, a major appetite for the kind of socialism that she is selling. She says, at least in recent weeks, that she's departed from some of the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, priorities, that she differs a bit, but she's also had to walk back a lot of past statements she said that are very much in line with the DSA.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff in Madison. Those statements include defunding the police, and just today, Hong denied earlier statements wanting to cancel Thanksgiving. Hong will face Republican Tom Tiffany in November if she wins her primary. In Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar wins the Democratic nomination for governor. President Trump says he slipped away from Air Force One after a summit in Turkey last month because the Secret Service and military wanted him on a different plane due to a threat.
They wanted me to do it, so I do it. I do what they say.
The president speaking to reporters on the way back from Ohio. The Washington heavy thunderstorms and strong wind gusts have knocked out power to more than 500,000 people in the Chicago area and northwest Indiana. The National Weather Service says preliminary information indicates the system was a derecho, which are prolonged straight-lined wind events where there's heavy rainfall and similar in force to tornadoes. America's listening to Fox News.
Ice Cube's Big Three season is heating up, and it all comes down to this. The Big Three playoffs are coming to Dallas, Texas. The 4 best teams in the Big Three battle it out for a spot in the championship. The action starts with the legendary Big Three Celebrity Game. 3 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay, yay!
Workdays work better with food. And not just any food, the good stuff. That's why there's Easy Cater, the workplace food platform where you can order from a huge variety of great restaurants for any group size, anytime, anywhere, all in one place. Whether it's gourmet deli trays for the client meeting, spicy noodles for the night shift, tacos for the weekend crew, or a big box of brownies to tell your team, thank you. Just use Easy Cater, one platform to feed them all and feed them well. Start an order at easycater.com.
A Florida congressman says someone painted a swastika over one of his campaign signs.
Congressman Randy Fine said he put up some campaign signs around Central Florida ahead of the August 18th primary, but got a call Monday that one had been vandalized with a spray-painted swastika in Flagler Beach. Fine told Fox 35 Orlando.
I was a lot more upset than I expected to be. I'm sort of grappling with it. It's really, really affected me, and I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty upset about it.
The Flagler Beach City Deputy Police Chief says they were notified about the incident and were looking into it. Fine is facing 4 primary challengers, including Dan Bilzerian, an influencer who's been criticized for making a number of anti-Semitic statements. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Russia has released a U.S. Marine veteran who had been in prison for more than 4 years on disputed charges that he beat a police officer. President Trump posting on social media that Robert Gilman is on his way to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. Last week, it was reported Gilman was said to be gravely ill and at risk of dying. A lawsuit filed on behalf of a retired Illinois firefighter who suffered catastrophic brain injuries, which they blame on raw oysters.
The family of 44-year-old retired Cicero firefighter and Marine veteran Joe Belgio say he ate raw oysters at Gibson Steakhouse in Oak Brook in suburban Chicago in 2025.
Within 3 days, he was fighting for his life. The pathogens included
Vibrio cholerae, and E. coli.
Family attorney Karen Arena says Belgio suffered cardiac arrest, a coma, and permanent brain damage, for which he's bedridden, requiring lifelong around-the-clock care that his insurance has run out, denying him proper treatment. A spokesman for Gibson's disputing the allegations that its food caused Belgio's health condition.
Fox's Jeff Manasso, Taylor Swift, Lyle Lovett, and others set to be inducted into the National Songwriters Hall of Fame. The formal induction ceremony set for later this year. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Hungry for real deals and real pizza? Head to Athena's Pizza on 13th Avenue South in Fargo. New England Greek-style pizza with that thick, crunchy crust, loaded just the way you like it. Big family deals every Sunday. Grab a large 2-topping pizza, cheesy breadsticks, and a 2-liter for just $24.99. Or 3 10-inch 2-topping pizzas for only $28. Lunch specials daily, plus gyros, subs, and more. All made fresh. Athena's Pizza. Order online or eat in. Athena's Pizza, 13th Avenue South, Fargo.
Partly cloudy skies through the evening hours with light winds and temperatures slowly falling off into the upper 70s, and then clouds will increase overnight. We could see an isolated shower, most of that west of the valley, with lows in the low 60s. And for Wednesday, sunshine returns, light winds with highs in the low 80s. Sunny on Thursday with highs in the upper 70s, and then a chance for showers come into the forecast as we head late in the day on Friday into Saturday. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki.
This is Decision 2026 on the Flag.
Rolling into hour number 2 of our election night coverage here, primary night in Minnesota and 5 other states. And the first thing we want to do is give a quick update. Well, excuse me. We're going to go to the campaign headquarters of Mike Lindell, the watch party tonight, as Mike is eagerly awaiting the results of tonight's primary. He is running for governor in Minnesota, and he is locked in a battle with Lisa Damuth, Kendall Qualls, and a few others. Mike, good evening to you. Thank you for giving us a few minutes. What are the emotions like right now?
Well, everybody's a little nervous. The early voting came in, and I'm down right now by about, I think about 8,000 votes with 18% reporting. But this is very similar to the Kerry Lake race in Arizona in the summer of 22, where I was on the phone with her just about all night. We got the early vote, the mail-in votes counted, just got up to about 10:30 in Arizona that year, and then the day of votes poured in, and then of course Kerry Lake won by over 70,000 votes. So I did win Olmsted County, Minnesota, which is traditionally a blue county. So but yeah, everybody's pretty excited. I'm nervous with the early thing, even though now it just changed. Now we got now I'm down by about 10,000 votes right now. So, but it's early.
Mike, you had an interesting experience voting today. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I got to the precinct and or our voting place, and I could not believe it. As I walk in, I give them my ID, and they go, "No, we don't. You don't have to show an ID." And I go, and I thought, well, what? Because I'm running for governor? No, nobody has to show an ID. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I go, "Are you serious? Nobody has to show an ID." And then it gets even worse. I get my ballot, I vote, I stick it in the machine, and it's gone. Bye. And I go to the gal, do I get a copy of what I voted for? Do I get a paper copy? Do I get anything? No, you don't. It was, I couldn't believe it. And then in Minnesota, you can vouch for 8 other people. I guess, you can bring 8 people along and go, yep, they live here too. They live here too. They live here too. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I saw coverage of it. There was a lot of media there, obviously, watching you vote. And when you pull out your ID, and they said, no, like, it was some sort of, crazy idea that they'd want to see your ID. That was priceless.
Yeah. Could you believe that? I mean, I had it halfway out, and it's like, no. I mean, it's like, seriously? It's unreal. But yeah, it surprised even me. And as you know, I've done nothing for 5 years but trying to secure our election platform. I've got an interesting report. by investigators that were downtown in Minneapolis, O'Keefe and O'Keefe from Project Veritas, and they just came in here and they said that they went undercover. I guess that big report's going to come out tomorrow, and it should be pretty revealing of what goes on here in Minnesota with our elections.
Interesting. So they were in Minnesota watching what happens on primary night.
Yeah. They hear one of their guys just came in here, and he said, "Mike, wait till you see all the stuff that we uncovered today." Oh
boy!
I said, "Well, it'll be interesting tomorrow to see." I just they asked me about the president's endorsement, and I said, the polling, showing the polling, I jumped up in the polling, but whether it's really going to matter is all the people to get them. He re-endorsed me this morning, put out another truth, and to get people out to vote that didn't vote and didn't bother and vote in 2022, that voted for the president in 2020 and 2024. So we reached out to them via text yesterday and today. That's where all my marketing went to, and they. So hopefully that shows up. These are all day of voters that they probably won't be counting them for another hour and a half, maybe by 11 o'clock. There's only 18% of the precincts in now. We went and had it paid for Lindell TV. We paid for, it's called Edison Research. Just so people know, it's a company in New Jersey. Every single vote goes through Edison Research in this country. Wait, how do they get there? What? They're on the internet? This is amazing. So they all go through Edison Research, which we were not able to get to other years. They would not let us have it. They wouldn't return our calls. But now that I have a publicly traded company with Lindell TV, we were able to get that today. Of course, it costs a lot of money, but we got it. So we're live streaming here this, and it's on LindellTV.com. And if you see votes ever go in reverse, like we have in years past with Edison Research, numbers don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4. They don't go in reverse. So we've got all hands on deck looking at everything for this election. The media said, "Well, Mike, are you going to accept the winner tonight?" I said, unless there's something that we see, of course I will. Even if I win, I would show them if there's something that's revealed in our election platforms. And then I said, remember, our own GOP in Minnesota, when the machines broke down up in Duluth at the convention, what did they do to solve the problem? They said, well, Lisa Damon doesn't have to honor her pledge to not run. And they there it is, they had her run because there was problems with the machines, so we'll see what happens. But, am I surprised by the early numbers a little bit? Let's see, right now we got.
It's like about 20% of the vote right now.
Yeah, we're at 19, almost 20% in. I'm still down by over 10,000 votes. And they're showing different AP instruments, less than 25. There's a lot of them counting from the districts. The districts that are coming in are basically Minneapolis, a lot of Minneapolis, a lot of the inner city ones. And then I did win, like I say, Olmsted County is south of the cities. And then, anyway, I've got, hold on one second.
No problem, Mike. While you're checking that, I want to ask you the question about the general election. If you're able to come out tonight on this race, you'll be taking on Amy Klobuchar. How do Republicans pin what has been going on in Minnesota on Amy Klobuchar? That might be the best ticket that Republicans have to win the governor's race. It might be difficult, but what is the strategy that you would take to try to compete with Amy Klobuchar in a general election?
Oh, we have it all planned out. I mean, this was on Amy's watch too. One of the main things I've been saying to the media, remember, Amy Klobuchar and I agreed on everything in 2019 and 20 about the electronic voting machines. She even named them in the movie Kill Chain, said, we've got to get rid of them. She named Hart, Dominion, and ES&S. And she was all after the election fraud to get to paper ballots. I agreed with her. She was the loudest voice in the nation. And then after the 2020 election, let's see, Mike Lindell spent $80 million trying to uncover this fraud, get to the bottom of it. What did Amy do? She turned her back on that fraud. She went out to Washington and got, I don't know, $10 billion, brings it back to Minnesota, and it gets shipped off to Somalia. Amy, that's not a good steward of our money. She's just another Tim Walz, only she's it's just a clone of Tim Walz as far as I'm concerned.
All right, Mike, we'll check in a little later on tonight. We're watching these results right along with you.
All right. Check back in. Thanks, guys.
You bet. Mike Lindell from his headquarters tonight as well. Let's see. He gave you the numbers pretty much on the race right there. You heard a moment ago, but we're watching also the Peggy Flanagan race. So the updated now, 39 of 87 counties reporting. It's about 20% of the vote in. You have Peggy Flanagan with 51% and Angie Craig at 45%. That has not changed much at all, Steve.
It has been that kind of a margin really throughout, about 7 to 10 points. Now, we've not had new numbers come in for a little while, so there hasn't really been a lot of the new votes come in. We are now up to about 120,000 votes or so about 20% more than we were at our last check. But yeah, about 52 to 45 right now there. As we have mentioned, the Michelle Tafoya race has already been called. It was fairly quick tonight. Michelle got out to a big lead, kind of mirroring the polling that we'd seen, showing that she was definitely in great shape, and she certainly proved to be. We have a call into the Tafoya campaign. We know the people there fairly well. We hope to be able to get Michelle in just a few minutes here. In the other races we're following here tonight, we do have a little bit of result coming in from Clay County, District 4A. And this is the race for state representative in District 4A. On the Republican side, Andrew Rockhold is running unopposed, and so he'll advance to the general. But the Shelley Carlson, Erica Yoni race in the primary is one that's really intriguing. Carlson, with a lot of name recognition coming into this as the mayor of Moorhead, got backing by Angie Craig, endorsed by a number of prominent Minnesota Democrats, but she did not get the endorsement of the party at the convention. That went to Yoni, who is a relative newcomer, relative unknown in politics, and we only have a few votes in, but with 8% of the vote in, 1 out of the 13 precincts reporting, Yoni has about a 3-1 lead, 157 votes to 57. And Scott, I don't know that I know the geographic or the ideological makeup of Moorhead well enough to say, this precinct will be a certain way and this one will be another way. But that is a strong early statement, even though, as we mentioned, it's just 8% of the vote in. But with 8% of the vote in, that's a big early jump.
Yeah, very interesting to watch that one as well. And by the way, we had said earlier we thought Newsmax had called the race in Wisconsin for governor there on the Democratic side, the race we're all watching. They have not called that. And, in fact, now we're saying it's too close to call. So it's a tight one there. So
yeah, thank you. I was going to mention that when we came out, and then we got Mike on the line. I forgot to go back to that. So
66% reporting there, 41% for Crowley, 40% for Hong. So it's a tight race right now.
Well, they're getting it's getting late early though for Francesca Hong there to be behind with, what do you say, 60-some percent?
66% reporting.
Okay,
yeah,
that's pretty quick over there in Wisconsin. They would have 2/3 of the vote in. In Minnesota, we're watching it, and we don't even have 20% in yet. So, well, we just had another ballot dump. I guess you could say we're up to 25% now. So we had a pretty big influx there. So let's update everything for you there again. Lisa Demuth continues to push her lead. Scott, this is getting interesting here. It's only a quarter of the vote in, but we're starting to see big margins now. Demuth, 45%. To Lindell, 31%. Demuth with 49,000 votes to Lindell's 33. He has fallen further behind each of the last 3 updates there. On the Democrat side, of course, that one's been called already for Amy Klobuchar. Talking about the U.S. Senate race, the primary there, Michelle Tafoya has already been declared the winner on the Republican side. But again, with a bunch more votes coming in, Peggy Flanagan continues to lead the way. She now has a 10,000 vote lead on Angie Craig, 52% to 46%. Flanagan with about 82,600, Craig 72,000. So we're starting to see some trends hang in there on those races. We now have another update. We now have 5 more precincts in Moorhead, so we now have about half of the precincts in. Yoni continues to have a lead and pretty big, 63% to 36. Yoni with 1,041 votes to Carlson's 600. Scott, I'm officially going to say I'm surprised. I think that's enough of the population in Moorhead to think we can start to draw some conclusions there, and that is not a good result for Shelley Carlson.
No, and again, kind of the I guess the undercurrent of everything we're watching tonight. Where are these endorsed Democratic Socialist candidates faring against, anyone on the other, the
more establishment? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
I don't know.
I never heard it called moderate Democrats or what label to give them. But yeah,
I don't know that Yoni is. I don't know enough about her to know what her positions are. I guess I should research that a little bit. If she is truly a DSA candidate, and District 4A is that's Moorhead. It's not all of Clay County, certainly. So something like that could play well in Moorhead, but that would surprise me even in Moorhead that we would see the people in Moorhead ready for that kind of a candidate. We'll have to dig in a little bit more, but that's an eye-opener to me now as we have 6 precincts in and almost half of the vote. So it's not an insignificant number now that we have there. So interesting on that one. Let's check in back on the state auditor's race. If you remember the name Julie Blaha, she's been the Minnesota State Auditor for the last 6-7 years or so. She decided not to run for re-election, so that is going to be a newcomer there. Scott Jensen, the Republican, is considered a strong factor in that race, and it certainly is proving that way here tonight on primary night. Jensen with 67% of the vote, Nate George with 27%, so a big lead, 68,000 votes to 26,000 for Jensen, who was on my show earlier today. We were talking about the COVID stories that are happening nationally, but Jensen in a battle here on the primary side, and he will end up taking on, if he comes out of this race, Zach Filipovich, the Democrat. And so far, we've had about 135,000 Democrats vote tonight, and they're going right down party line and just about all voting for him. So any Democrat in Minnesota in a statewide race will be definitely tough to beat. On the congressional races, we told you already that Brad Finstead is out to a big lead. That race may have actually already been called. Eric Pratt, the Republican in District 2, that's the Angie Craig district, running unopposed there. In District 3, that's Kelly Morrison, the Democrat, who's the incumbent there. And all the polling has her looking very strong. But the two gentlemen, Tyler Bass and Quentin Whitrock, are splitting the vote there right now. That's about 49 to 48%. The Democrat will win in District 4, likely in November as well. Betty McCollum there, way left, far left liberal, but that's what they want in District 4. District 5 is the Ilhan Omar district, and she's winning the Democrat primary handily and likely will win in November as well. In District 6, that's Tom Emmer's district. He's winning handily. I think I saw that race, has been called, as has the McCollum race now on the Democrat side. No surprise there. But Emmer will win that race, and Doug Chapin, the Democrat, is running unopposed there, and Emmer is thought to stack up very well there. Michelle Fischbach, the incumbent Republican, running again in District 7. She will win the Republican primary handily. There is some discussion, Scott, that a gentleman named Eric Osberg may be a tough candidate for her in the general, but in Congressional District 7, it's about as red as you can get. I don't know that I feel like Michelle would be in a lot of trouble there.
No, and of course, she would be the establishment candidate. I think, again, when we go to these, the labels get put on people. Certainly, I think Fischbach is the establishment candidate. There's been some challengers, but I think you're right. Pretty solid there.
And in District 8, Pete Stauber, 87% of the vote in. They're very early there in that one. They don't even have 10% of the precincts in, but he's got 88% there, and it doesn't look like he'll have any trouble there. And he's projected to be in very good shape to return in November and win the general election as well. So that's the update there. We'll continue to refresh the buttons here, but we have no new voting totals in as of this point. So this is probably a good opportunity for us to hit our bottom of the hour break and take a short respite here. Before we do that, though, let me hit a couple of text messages here. Just tuned in and saddened to hear Kendall Qualls is lagging. Yeah, Kendall's a guy that, I mean, who doesn't love this guy? What he's been and who he's been to our country. What a wonderful patriot he is. But he's going to have a tough time today. He is 2-1 trailing Lisa Demuth right now. He's about 9 percentage points behind Mike Lindell as well. And Kendall, a great guy, just as we've been talking about, has had difficulty raising the money to really be competitive there. So he's got an uphill battle ahead of him as well.
Numbers, by the way, are 45% for Lisa Demuth in that race right now, 30% for Mike Lindell, and Kendall Qualls down to 21%.
Yes. Another text message. Steve, when you say prolific fundraiser, that means they're owned by the lobbyists, the donor class, and special interest groups. I don't know, Scotty. I push back a little bit on that. I know that everybody says when donors put their money in, they're trying to buy influence. I've always thought it says at least as much that, hey, this is a candidate that people want to get behind because they like where the candidate is. Not that the candidate's going to be pliable and malleable and someone that you're going to be able to, have the fix being in for. I don't know. We say that a lot because we get frustrated with money and politics, but I don't know that it's fair to say necessarily if someone can raise money that they're on the take either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the reason that people are donating to a particular candidate is because they can believe they can win. But I think it's something you say when your candidate didn't win,
And I've been in that position many times.
The big money is what I don't know. It's what you say when you're losing. Honestly,
yeah. It is sad that money plays such a big part in it, but it just does. I don't know that there's any way you can get away from that. And in some ways, I guess you have to say too, if someone is able to accumulate money behind them, they have probably done pretty well for themselves and have their own money, and also they have a message that appeals to a lot of people. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's too bad that the good people that want to run, that are good patriots, that it's tough sometimes for them to raise the money because they would be great if they were in office. But you give credit to the winners, and they're doing something right by being able to put together that kind of a bankroll.
We do have quick new numbers here before we go to the break. In Minnesota now, 33% of that is in 54 of 87 counties. And in the race for governor, we're watching, obviously, the Republican side most closely. That's where their battle is. We have Lisa Demuth and Ryan Wilson now with 46% of the vote. Mike Lindell has held pretty steady at that 30% number, and Kendall Qualls at 20%. So not a lot has changed there.
Yeah, Demuth has increased her margin there, though. I think that's about a 2 to 3% increase in her margin from where she was at the last reading.
She's doing pretty well there. And then let's give you that's the governor's race. On the Senate race, we're watching obviously closely there what's happening on the Democratic side because Michelle Tafoya already the Republican winner. So we're watching Flanagan now at 53%, Angie Craig at 45%. So Peggy Flanagan.
Slight increase for Flanagan.
And she has led pretty much all night long. So
that's been very consistent. And as more results come in, the lead for her grows. And Scott, you've been through this more times than I have, but we've got 54 of the 87 counties that are in. A third of the vote is in now. About 1,300 of the counties are the precincts out of 4,100. At some point, these numbers start to mean something. And when you get to about a third of the vote in, that's kind of the point where I've always said start to watch now because you have trends now that cannot be easily overwhelmed. So it's a good night so far for the Flanagan people.
Yeah, it is. She's led all night long. And if you're watching that one between Peggy Flanagan and Angie Craig, and I think, by the way, the Republicans are watching that one as well. They'd love to see Peggy Flanagan continue to hold that out. But
beware what you wish for, right, with any established Democrat in Minnesota. But I think Republicans feel their message would stand up as a more of a differentiator, I think. Isn't that fair to say?
For sure.
Against Flanagan than it would be Craig. I think Craig can blend in more and play the moderate, and she'll be able to point to a vote or two that she took in Congress. Well, I voted for this thing because I thought it was good for the people of my district. Flanagan does not have that. Flanagan does not have anything that she can take to the middle in Minnesota and say, this is where I stood up for you. She just doesn't. So I've got to think that Tafoya people are smiling extra wide right about now.
No doubt about it. And again, there was a hypothetical race between Michelle Tafoya and Peggy Flanagan polling-wise, and Peggy Flanagan only was leading by 1% in that particular race.
All right.
So what does that tell you?
9:31, we're going to take our bottom of the hour break. It's starting to get interesting, folks. Stick around, and if you've got a comment, question, something you want us to talk a little bit about, we'd be glad to do that. Give us a call, 701-271-1100. You can text us as well. Big thanks to the guys behind the glass who are doing all the real work so Scotty and I can hang out and talk with you, to Michael and Addison and JT, everybody who's making this night possible behind the scenes. If you want to watch this as well, it's kind of a nice presentation the guys have going. We've got the cameras up in the studio, and the guys are also giving you graphics when we have guests on and showing you the election results off the websites tonight as well. So well done, gentlemen, behind the scenes as well. So whether you're listening or watching, we're glad to have you along for the ride on primary night here on WZFG. The Flag, AM 1100, FM 92.3. Back after this.
Decision 2026. Your calls at 701-271-1100 and more election coverage in minutes on The Flag.
Hey, Kevin and Alex from the Need to Know Morning Show, and we want to celebrate our incredible teachers before they head back to school with a free lunch.
If you're a teacher or a school staff member, join us at the Flag Family Studios Wednesday, August 12th from 11 to 1.
We have a variety of food trucks and prizes. It's our annual Teachers Appreciation Picnic, Wednesday from 11 to 1. The public's also invited.
Much thanks to our sponsors, Glass Doctor Auto of Moorhead, Minco Construction, Kingpins Thunder Road, the UND Alumni Foundation, and the Flag.
From schools to hospitals, manufacturing plants, and your business, when your HVAC or plumbing goes down, everything stops. That's why H.A. Thompson & Sons offers all-inclusive linked service maintenance plans that prevent problems before they happen. Less downtime, fewer breakdowns, lower cost. Talk to one of the specialists today for a free 30-minute review of your operation and find out how much hassle and, more importantly, money they can save you. H.A. Thompson & Sons, online at hatandsons.com. Legendary service, smarter systems.
For 76 years, families have trusted Anderson Homes in Sabika to build quality, affordable custom homes. Whether you're dreaming of a home designed just for you or looking for a move-in ready option, Anderson Homes makes the buying process easy with a friendly professional sales team. Visit their modular home village to tour beautiful display homes with several of the model homes on sale, or browse online at AndersonHomesInc.com to learn more about display model sales. Your new home is closer than you think. Anderson Homes, creating quality homes for generations.
Everybody has an opinion about Minnesota's race for the U.S. Senate. The campaigns do, the political parties do, and the pundits certainly do. But what do swing voters actually think? The swing voter pilot went directly to independent and undecided voters in Minnesota who could help decide this race in the general election. Following the U.S. Senate Forum at Minnesota Farm Fest, swing voters weighed in on the candidates, Democrats and Republicans. Who wins on the issues? Which candidates connect with voters in the middle? And which candidates do swing voters actually prefer? Instead of another political prediction, the swing voter pilot is providing research based on what persuadable Minnesota voters had to say. And now you can see the results for yourself. See which candidates win with swing voters. See the research, inform your vote. Go to theswingvoterpilot.com. That's theswingvoterpilot.com.
This back-to-school season, be good to yourself with a new mattress from Comfort King. Built with the world's best components, we have mattresses to fit all budgets and every comfort preference. Starting at just $198, get a better mattress at a better price. Now for a limited time, get free sheets and a free mattress protector with qualifying purchase. Sleep well, live well. Comfort King. the original mattress factory of the Dakotas.
You ever caught yourself thinking, what if I'd switched to Collins & Kronk years ago? You're not alone. Don't let another month go by with the same old regrets. Say goodbye to your outdated advisor and hello to a fresh start with the Collins & Kronk team. Our priority is your success. Make the move that matters. Call 701-235-0119 or online at collinsandkronk.com. Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Collins & Kronk is not a broker-dealer and is independent of RJFS.
Are you a worrier? I know I can be. In the spring, any day that I'm not in the field means another sleepless night. I am Darren Hefty with Hefty Seed Company. Farming comes with enough worries. Your corn seed shouldn't be one of them. That's why we developed Hefty brand 40 Series corn. As the only corn in the industry recommended for planting in 40-degree soils, 40 Series corn gets you into the field before anyone else. When the other guys are losing their sleep trying to get their crop in, well, my corn will already be in the ground. Plant early, sleep better with Hefty 40 Series corn.
This is Decision 2026 on the Flag.
9:37, Steve Hallstrom, Scott Hennen here with you. Today, it's been a big day of Minnesota news. Minnesota Vikings announced that Kyler Murray will be the starter at quarterback over J.J. McCarthy, and we end the night with a different kind of scoreboard here with the Minnesota primary races. Michelle Tafoya has released a statement tonight after winning the Republican primary for U.S. Senate. She beat Adam Schwartzy, Royce White, Tom Weiler, and Schwartzy was the endorsed candidate by the state Republican Party, and our friend Liz Collin at Alpha News reports this is the first primary that a GOP-endorsed candidate has lost in Minnesota in more than 20 years in the primary, and she will either face Angie Craig or Peggy Flanagan in the race to replace retiring Senator Tina Smith. Tafoya said tonight after the victory, this is not about red versus blue. It's common sense versus crazy. We will not reelect politicians who let criminals steal billions and treat accountability as optional. We deserve better, and it's time we demand better. Scott, I think where Republicans may have difficulty pinning the fraud picture on Amy Klobuchar, they will have much more success pinning it on Peggy Flanagan, because she was Tim Walz's running mate through that whole situation. And whether she was personally responsible or not, I don't think matters, but I think people will see that as something that she bears some culpability for.
No question. No question about it. Obviously, she's in the state and is going to have to answer a lot of questions on that front. And again, would be the candidate that is more this sort of left-wing side that is giving the establishment Democrats fits right now. So Peggy Flanagan certainly fits that mold for sure.
All right, we just had another batch of precincts report. We are now up to about 40% of the vote in.
Wow.
Across Minnesota. 60 of the 87 counties have reported, and we are continuing to see those trends that we saw earlier hold up. The big races we're following, Lisa Damuth continues to lead in the governor's primary on the Republican side. Mike Lindell trimming the lead ever so slightly, but it's still about 46% to 31%. So a 15% lead. She in the vote count leads 72,600 to 49,600. So 23,000 votes or so. Kendall Qualls in third at 20.6%. He's got about 32,000 votes. Amy Klobuchar has already won on the Democrat side. In the U.S. Senate primary, Michelle Tafoya has already won on the Republican side. And Peggy Flanagan continues to maintain that lead. She leads 53% to about 45%. So that's an 8% margin, and that's been very consistent. It's been 7, then 7.5, 8, a little bit over 8, now back closer to 8. But that's been a 7 to 8 point margin the entire night. But in terms of sheer vote count, it's starting to add up. Flanagan at 109,000 votes, Angie Craig at 91,700. So now you're talking about 18,000 votes. I guess you can round up to about 20,000. And with 40% of the vote in, Scott, it's getting late early for Angie Craig.
No doubt about it. And again, been sort of from the, what we start with 1% of the vote. And
yeah, it's been 7-8% that whole night.
The horse race has not changed on any of these. So there hasn't been much drama at all. And Tafoya running away with it, obviously, on the Republican Senate side. And same for Amy Klobuchar and the other races we've been watching. That horse race certainly has not changed much at all.
Let's take a look a little closer to home. Minnesota District 4A, we are going to have a new state representative because Heather Keeler did not run for re-election there, chose to run for a different office, and we now have 11 of the 13 precincts reporting in District 4A. 84.6% of the vote is in, and Scott, Erica Yoni continues to maintain a massive lead, 62.5% to 37.4% over Shelley Carlson. 2,100 votes to 1,257. Scott, I don't get surprised very often. That's a shocker to me.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Shelley Carlson had a good run as mayor and would have been obviously the candidate with the most name ID there. I guess what's interesting there is the endorsement there went for, seems to have mattered in that race, but it doesn't seem to have mattered in the Senate race tonight, which is interesting. Right?
Well, she won the endorsement of the party, so she got some early steam there in that race. And I have to admit, or be honest, that I'm not a stalwart of Democrat politics in Moorhead, but I just had not heard much about her before. And for Shelley to have been the mayor of Moorhead and then step into that race, it just kind of looked like she was the heir apparent there. And Yoni comes out of nowhere and not only wins the endorsement of the party, but is absolutely trouncing Carlson in the primary race here tonight. So I did a little bit of research. There's no mention or indication in any of the literature or the web traffic or social media traffic of Yoni that she is a DSA candidate. She has talked about affordable health care, public education, and supporting working families. Lord, could we please have a Democrat that just focuses on that? I mean, we would take a Democrat that just, those are what the Democrats have always been, instead of all of these other things. Now, who knows how she will vote when she gets down to St. Paul, but this is interesting. We're going to have to get to know Erica Yoni because it certainly looks as though she is going to be the next state representative in District 4A. So that's a big story. Scott, I don't know how you come back from these numbers right now. I think mathematically this one's a done deal.
Yeah, that's very, very, very interesting there, no doubt about it. And obviously the endorsement mattered. So I have nothing on that one. It's perplexing for sure.
We can update the state auditor primary as well, where Scott Jensen, who ran as a governor's candidate last election, and initially started out saying, I want to give another shot to that, but pulled out early and decided to run for the state auditor's race. It looks like he's going to win the Republican primary there. He's about 67% to Nate George's 26%, and Will Finn a distant third in that race. But Jensen now with 101,000 votes to George's 38. I think we can call that one as well with 40% of the vote in. Taking a look at some of the congressional races, continue to see big leads for Brad Finstead in the Republican primary in District 1. It looks like he'll take on Jake Johnson in the general, who is ahead of Alex Eaton there. Eric Pratt, the Republican, running unopposed in District 2. That's Angie Craig's district. There will be a new congressman or woman from that district. And it looks like Matt Little will come out of that on the Democrat side. He's got about a 47 to 30% lead on the next challenger there as well. What can we tell you? Betty McCollum has won the primary on the Democrat side in District 4. The incumbent Democrat, she will be an overwhelming favorite to win there in November as well. District 5, Ilhan Omar's race, she continues to lead by a big margin in the primary on the Democrat side and will likely beat any Republican that runs against her in November. Tom Emmer has already won the Republican primary in Congressional District 6. Michelle Fischbach, running unopposed, wins in District 7, the incumbent Republican there. And Pete Stauber, I have not seen an official call on that race, but that one's over. He's at 87% of the vote now, with about, looks like about 30% of their precincts reporting up on the Arrowhead and the Iron Range up there. On the Democrat side, it looks like Stauber will take on Trina Swanson, who I want to say maybe ran against him in the last election up there. She's got 74% of the vote on the Democrat side there as well. So that is a look at the updated numbers that have come in. Again, we're sitting at about 39% of the vote in, about 1,600 precincts of the 4,100 across the state of Minnesota, 60 of 87 counties having reported there so far as well.
The debate over whether Thanksgiving is a good thing or a bad thing in Wisconsin remains rather tight. There is quite a bit of the vote in now, just about 77% of the vote in. And here is the latest number. Get a load of this. 40.3% for David Crowley, 40% for Francesca Hong.
Wow, 0.3%.
Yeah, how about that? Unbelievable.
It's such a fascinating storyline, too. You know, Mamdani wins as a DSA in New York City, but you're like, it's New York City. You can see anything happening there. Wisconsin is, I guess they have voted blue in most recent presidential elections, but I think Wisconsin's still a very purple state. And for Wisconsin Democrats to be giving this much oxygen to a DSA candidate who I would argue we're really talking about a communist candidate. And when you listen to her, she's not just a communist. She's bat bleep crazy a communist because nothing that she says makes sense. And she doesn't even sound like she knows what she's talking about. I don't know how she has mounted the kind of campaign that she has. She doesn't seem particularly intelligent, particularly affable, particularly engaging, someone that you want to run through a brick wall for. Her comments have been sort of vapid and wide-ranging and not really coherent on some of the subjects. I mean, who in America, Democrat or Republican, doesn't like Thanksgiving, for gosh sakes? She went into a Culver's in Wisconsin and put a social media post out that I got nervous because there was too many white people there. And you look at her, and she's about as pasty as you get. So nothing really makes sense with this woman, and yet she is a strong candidate to come out of this. I guess this means that Tom Tiffany's in pretty good shape in Wisconsin.
Yeah, no kidding. Although
that could be a big pickup.
I think a lot of people expected Hong to run away with this.
Yes.
There was some heavy polling, but it's, as I mentioned earlier, the current governor who's retiring had to recruit a candidate that had dropped out to get back in the race, and now he's the one neck and neck with her. So it'll be interesting to see what happened. But again, sort of like in the Minnesota race where I think Republicans are really hoping for Peggy Flanagan to win that race. They see her as the easier candidate to beat, as the more radical candidate. Same thing with Hong in that race there. But
some pretty prominent Democrats nationally have come out against Hong and said, we don't want her anywhere near. David Axelrod has said she is an unserious candidate and a total joke as a hopeful for a governor. The Washington Post came out with a endorsement against her. And when Washington Post is diving into state politics, you know that they've got something to say about it. So she's been very controversial, not just among people in the middle and on the right, but certainly on the left as well.
We're inching to 50% of the vote being counted in Minnesota now, 47% in with the latest update. Let's see if anything's changed in the horse race in the Democratic side. The Republican side's already been called for Michelle Tafoya in the U.S. Senate. And now we have Peggy Flanagan with 54% and Angie Craig 43%. So 11% lead there. The horse race has not changed. Let's go check.
For Flanagan you're talking about now?
Correct.
So that's a bigger, so she's expanded that lead then. She's been kind of 7 to 8%. But if she's really sitting there right now at 54 to 43, she has increased that lead. She's now by 27,000 votes, and she continues to pull away. Scott, with half the vote in now, these are numbers that are going to be really difficult for Angie Craig to overcome.
Couldn't agree anymore, and pretty much the same thing on the Republican race. Again, the Democratic race already called for Amy Klobuchar, so we're just watching the Republican race for governor. And the horse race, Damath in first, Lindell in second, Kendall Qualls has not changed. Percentage-wise, Lisa Damath also did increase her lead quite a bit there, 45% to 31% for Lindell. Kendall Qualls has stayed at 20%, pretty much most of the night. So
yeah, that's a 28,000 vote margin now for Lisa Damath. And crazy, Scott, the polling on this, and KSTP is pretty good at polling, but Lindell up by 9 and then 7, and that was the last poll about a week ago. And now here we see Damath with a 14-point lead. they're going to have to ask some questions down at KSTP about their methodology on polling if these numbers hold.
Yeah, I don't see much changing here, honestly, Steve, in this race. As the percentages continue to increase now, 67 out of 87 counties have reported, so only 20 left. And there has not been much drama in the races we're watching the closest, which again is, Tafoya on the Senate side, a slam dunk called early on in this race. Same thing with Amy Klobuchar. So we've been watching, obviously on the Republican side for governor and the Democratic side for Senate are the races with any drama, but not a lot has changed in the horse race here at all. Other than, as you mentioned earlier, a little bit of an increase in the percentage, but the horse races remain the same.
Yeah, none of those races have been called. I don't think we're quite that far along the way yet. Right now, the Crowley Hong race, 249,000 for Crowley, 248,000 for Hong. That one is that's probably going to be recount territory in that one.
Yeah,
that one's going to go deep into the night there. But on the Minnesota side, the only race that has been called, well, the two, Klobuchar for governor, Tafoya for U.S. Senate, a Democrat and a Republican, respectively, there. But we're watching to see if there's going to be any other races called here. And when you start to get more than half of the votes in, especially with these primary races where you don't typically tend to see geographically where someone's from the outstate, someone's from the metro, and you can have votes from, the sticks, the rocks, and the cows can come in and change things. You don't typically have that. And so when you've got half of the precincts in, half of the vote being counted, if you've got a margin in the double digits, which both of them do, the races we've been talking about here with Flanagan and now Demuth, they're in really good shape. I don't know. I keep refreshing my Minnesota news sites because I think we could have some of those races called very soon, but we're not seeing that yet. So we will continue to follow that. Our phone number is 701-271-1100. Anything about tonight's races surprising to you? Or is there someone that you're pulling for that you think the people of Minnesota are getting right or wrong? We would be glad to have you give a comment to us as well. We are also watching comments on our live stream as well. I've got the YouTube stream up here right now, and I'm seeing a comment. Lindell lost votes with his partial amnesty plan, and Amy never talked about the fraud. We've talked about that a little bit. She really hasn't, and I think you said earlier, Scott, 200 press releases from her office, and not one of them expressing any concern about the fraud going on in Minnesota. Maybe Minnesotans won't care, but I think an impressive performance if Lisa Demuth can win this by what we're seeing now, a 15-point margin, maybe, Scott, that starts to create some momentum for her where people in Minnesota say, wow, she was the clear winner among that bunch on the Republican side. Maybe I got to listen in and see what she's all about.
And Chris Larson from our newsroom just tells us the decision desk has called the race for Demuth now.
Okay.
So one of the prognosticators that call races, AP is one, decision desk is another. Some of the networks do it, but that race called for Demuth by the decision desk, HQ.
Okay.
Not surprising because we've said not much has changed there, and we're now just coming up on 50% of the vote. So.
Yeah, not surprising, Scotty, but this is a decisive win for her when polling had indicated, and I guess, again, it teaches you on polling that you really have to be careful how much stock you put in that, but it looked as though Lindell, once he got the Trump endorsement, really had all the momentum in that race. But Minnesotans on the Republican side are coming out, and I think, Scott, probably if you ask every Republican in Minnesota, they'd say, I love Mike Lindell. I mean, how could you not? How could you not? But I think you have to look and say, who is the chance that we have to make the biggest run against Amy Klobuchar? And Minnesotans on the Republican side are not going with the endorsed candidate. They're not going with Trump's endorsed candidate. They're going with someone different. And interesting about Demuth. My questions about her, Scott, is does anybody in Minnesota or do enough Minnesotans really know who she is?
Yeah, I mean, she is, I think, of as far as you look at the political acumen on the Republican side, did a pretty good job by being Speaker of the House in a very challenging time, stopping basically a lot of the bad stuff. That's what Republicans were reduced to. She, again, as far as the campaign chest, She was the one that went out there and raised a lot of money, raised more money than anybody. And again, that's going to be important in this race as well. So I think it'll be interesting. I think fraud will be the big issue there without question. So.
From the text line tonight, come on, Steve. Yanni still has to win in November. 100% true. And apologies if we've given any other indication than that, because certainly she's going to have to come up with a win in the general election there. And that I think Andrew Rockhold is going to mount a good challenge there. If I'm looking at this objectively, not who do I want to win, but how do I read the tea leaves here? I think with Yoni and by the way, we now have all but one precinct in, and Yoni continues to lead 64-35. That race is over. She has won the Democrat primary in what I believe is a surprise. I just do. So Andrew Rockhold will give a significant challenge there. But if you take a look at a couple of things here, the total votes in. Now, there wasn't a challenge in this one, so maybe Republicans were not motivated. But about 1,100 people came out to vote for Rockhold tonight, whereas on the Democrat side, there were about 3,900 people altogether that came out. So about a 4-to-1 differential there. So it is going to be difficult for Rockhold, and it's going to be difficult for any Republican in District 4A. I've had Andrew on my show. I think he's a great patriot. I think he would do a wonderful job. I'm just trying to paint the picture that I see, not cheering for anybody or saying that this is a done deal, but it will be certainly an uphill battle there. Minnesota, guys, is done with foreign-controlled leaders who push Trump's endless, needless wars or Israel's genocide. America First means just that. We will kick out candidates loyal to foreign terrorist regimes.
Oh, my.
I'm not sure.
Israel's a foreign terrorist regime. There's a
comment on the Lindell race. I imagine that Lisa Demuth has been very much behind President Trump and his agenda as well. You're not going to be able to win in Minnesota, in any state, as a Republican if you don't bring Republicans along with you. So I think that was a dig at Mike Lindell maybe more than anything else. Another comment, Lindell lost when Trump endorsed him. I don't know. I think the amnesty thing had a lot to do with that, Scott. Whether it was accurate or not, I think Mike was a little unclear on what he really believed and what he meant. When you have to go back and sort of clarify your comments, you're losing, not winning. And I feel like that was more of it than anything else. And in a primary, you're not trying to win the general. You're just trying to win Republicans. So I have a hard time saying that Donald Trump's endorsement did damage to Mike Lindell in a Republican primary.
We are over 50% reported now in Minnesota, 53.5%. That's 72 of 87 counties. So we're getting to, again, some significant numbers here. Horse race hasn't changed. What we're watching in the Senate race is the Democratic face-off between Peggy Flanagan. She continues to have a pretty significant lead at 54.4%. Angie Craig at 43.84%. So that hasn't changed much. Lisa Demuth has been called, at least by one of the poll watchers tonight, as the winner there. And so that's really the only thing we're watching, and that has continued to be a pretty significant lead for Lisa Demuth, now 44.68% to Mike Lindell's 32.12%. Kendall Quall stays at 20%. So, again, increased amount of the vote being counted, but not much changing, Steve.
Yeah, that margin for Peggy Flanagan, to me, is one of the biggest stories of the night. And this was a race that all the polling showed even there. And we now see a double-digit lead there. And, that was thought to be a very, very competitive race. And Angie Craig had the backing of a number of people. I think Gwen Walls was behind her. I think even Amy Klobuchar took a position in that. I may be wrong. Don't quote me on that one. But that at this point, we've gotten deep enough into the night that when you're sitting here with more than half the vote in, you've got a double-digit lead. I don't know that those numbers change in a statewide primary when you've got both candidates from the Twin Cities area. If you had one outstate, one metro, I can see how that might change some things. But we're not seeing any of that right now. So very interesting as we continue to watch those races.
I got to think that's going to be called pretty quick. And again, a number of different people that are doing this, but we'll see what happens there. And I think we just hit 100% of the precincts, obviously, in 4A now. So not much change there, Steve. But you've been watching that one close. I think we're at 100% now.
Okay, so that vote is, yes, yep, you're right, Scott, fully in. Congratulations to Erica Ioni. We better get to know her because she is going to have a very good chance to advance to be the next state representative out of District 4A. And boy, I've said it 6 times already in this show, but I'm really surprised that Shelley Carlson, as the mayor of Moorhead, was not able to make a stronger showing here. That is, I mean, typically a place that Moorhead Democrats can find good candidates to come from. And Ioni came out of nowhere. I guess if you look back, Heather Keeler kind of came out of nowhere as well, but was able to get the party apparatus behind her. And Scott, she won that race 2-1. This was not even close, 66-34. And you'd think the mayor of Moorhead would be someone in a unique position. She did a fair amount of campaigning with and for Angie Craig, who is not having a good night as well. So not just Carlson, but the candidates that she got behind not faring well tonight at all. And if you're someone who has insight on Moorhead politics, we'd love to hear from you because this one's been a bit of a surprise to us. And maybe it's not when you kind of realize what happened. But when Ioni won the party's endorsement over Carlson at the district convention, that raised my eyebrows. I thought that was a surprise. Turns out it was just a foreboding of things to come. Scott Jensen also, I think we can probably declare as the winner in the Republican primary for state auditor. He's at 67% to Nate George's 25%. He's got a lead of about 80,000 votes, 135 to 51. Good for Scott Jensen. And Julie Blaha, the former auditor, a Democrat, we'll take any win we can get in Minnesota, and it looks like we might have one for the Republicans here, at least in a primary tonight. Obviously, any Democrat will be tough to beat in the general as well, but we would take it if we can get a win there in that race. And I think Republicans across the board will come out and support Scott Jensen in that race, and so we'll probably see him at the state fair here in a few weeks when he jumps in to meet the people down there. Continuing to update results here, we still are sitting at about 54%. Nothing too much is really new there. And so this probably gives us a good opportunity to take our top of the hour break here. We're just past 10 o'clock, and we're going to stick around for a little bit. We get a sense that we may have some races called in Minnesota, these 2 that we have been following. And so we're going to be sticking tight here and seeing if we can get some results here coming up soon, maybe within the next half hour. You are listening to coverage of Minnesota Primary Night 2026. Steve Hallstrom, Scott Hennen here with you. If you're seeing anything that surprises you, you want to give a comment, question, anything like that on your mind, please let us know. Craig, I see, has jumped on the line. Hang on, Craig. We'll catch you on the other side. You're listening to continuing coverage of Minnesota Primary Night 2026 on WZFG, The Flag, AM 1100, FM 92.3, Dilworth, Glen, and Felton, USA.
People with chronic lower back pain have often tried lots of different things, and most of those things just don't work, and they're searching things that do work. Non-surgical spinal decompression is a type of treatment done with a specialized machine that has very high success rates, and we're lucky to be one of the few clinics in the entire state that has it.
I had horrible neck pain due to a degenerated disc. I went and saw Dr. Zimmerman. It got better. It got way better. You know, at the clinic, it is very easy to schedule, and they work around any schedule you have. He has actually fit me in prior to the weekend if I have a relapse, so I'm not in pain over the weekend. So very good care there.
The success rate for decompression treatment based on research is just about 90%, although I think ours is higher because we incorporate other types of care to address the dysfunction. Whether it's the neck or the lower back, decompression treatment can be effective for a wide variety of conditions that include bulged, ruptured, or slipped discs, pinched nerves, sciatica, and joint arthritis, and sometimes can be effective in just a few treatments. Find us at theclinicnow.com. That's theclinicnow.com.
Looking for your new favorite hangout? Come see me, Brandy, or any one of our friendly bartenders at the Alibi Casino and Lounge. We've got happy hour every day from noon to 7 with $3.50 domestic beers and wells. Bingo Tuesdays at 7. Meat raffles every Wednesday and Thursday at 6. Karaoke Saturday at 9. Darts, pool, and blackjack in the casino every day starting at noon. Alibi Casino and Lounge, located inside the Baymont Inn and Suites, just off I-94 and South University in Fargo.
Ever feel like you wake up already behind? I have a solution. Sauna, cold plunge, and the night in the hot spring spa. It's better sleep, it's better circulation, it's feeling sharper every day in every way. Become part of my routine, and I'd invite you to join me in this wellness journey for 2026. Let's do this together. Hot spring spas and pool tables too. Best ownership experience in the business, and every day made better. West Fargo, Grand Forks, and Bismarck too. Hot spring spas and pool tables too.
Your diesel works hard, and it needs a team that works even harder to keep it going. Hi, I'm Matthew Carlson with Fix It Forward Auto Care. From light-duty diesel repair to fleet services, our skilled team of techs are here to ensure that your ride never loses the power and durability it needs to perform. Voted best diesel repair in the area, you can find Team Diesel at any of our 5 convenient FM area locations. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
Maxwell's in West Fargo is the best dining experience in town. The food is prepared from scratch and cooked to perfection by Chef Mike and his team.
They have delicious local sourced North Dakota Black Angus beef, their own handmade pastas, and tantalizing weekly specials.
Couple of my favorites, the delicious ahi tuna and the Max burger with bacon.
It's an experience you won't find anywhere else in the region.
And you'll feel at home wearing a suit or your favorite jeans.
Experience Maxwell's just off 13th Avenue and 9th Street in West Fargo.
With the PetroServe USA Rewards Program, you save 5 cents off a gallon of gas every fill. Plus great deals like the 4-for-4 special, single-topping personal pan pizza, 21-ounce drink, and 2 cookies, all for $4. Johnsonville beef hot dogs, cheddar or jalapeno brats, 2 for $2 with your rewards program. Nestle candy bars, king size, $1.69. The new Ritz Drizzle crackers, caramel or mini fudge, only $2.29. All month long, the deals are on PetroServe USA.
Big deals, where you'll always get a big deal on products and services you love, like clothing, automotive, hotel, or food. Our newest big deal is a $10 gift certificate to the Noble Hair for just $6. A great atmosphere for having a conversation and a perfectly blended drink. Delicious desserts from Nicole's Fine Pastries, the Noble Hair on Cheyenne in downtown West Fargo. Open Tuesday through Sunday and available for private events any day of the week. Just go to am1100theflag.com and click on Big Deals.
This is Decision 2026 on the Flag.
Steve Hallstrom, Scott Hennen here with you, rolling into hour number 3 of our coverage tonight, 8 past the hour of 10 o'clock. And the clock did not get too far into the post-polling or the post-voting evening before it was announced that Michelle Tafoya had won the Republican primary tonight, handily defeating all comers. This result mirroring the polls. Tafoya right now with 58% of the vote in, has a 52% lead over Adam Schwartzy, 23%. And this race, as we mentioned, has been called now for more than an hour. And we're pleased to have on the phone line with us Michelle Tafoya right now. Michelle, Steve, and Scott here. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate it. Good to be with you. We are thrilled here tonight. I'm with my team. I'm with a bunch of volunteers who have joined us for this evening. But boy, oh boy, tomorrow the real work begins.
Yeah, you had to have felt good. All the polling looked really strong for you coming into tonight, but I imagine there's still a little bit of uncertainty. How is it going to turn out, and are we going to have the kind of margins we hope for? And when you take a look at how the numbers have turned out, it's more than a 2-1 victory over any other candidate. Anything surprise you tonight about how the numbers turned out?
We're just thrilled that it clearly shows that people heard our message and it resonated with them and they liked what they heard. So I don't know that surprise is the word. We were just happy when the race was called, whatever the number was. Look, people understand. We're having a crisis of leadership in the state of Minnesota. Things are going 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction. And this is after years of single-party rule that brought us to this place. And you and I have talked about this. This state has become a national embarrassment, a punchline, if you will. And those of us who love Minnesota will be damned if we sit around and let that continue and watch businesses flee and our kids not be able to afford to stay here.
On the other side, Michelle, on the DFL side, Peggy Flanagan has maintained a sizable lead over Angie Craig from the very early going. Even with some of the early reports coming in, it was a 7 to 8 point lead for Flanagan. She has extended that now, and it's a double-digit lead with about 58% of the vote in, 54% to 43%. And in terms of just sheer numbers, she's got a 30,000 vote lead on Angie Craig. Is there one of those two that you would rather run against in November?
Look, they both represent two sides of the same coin, and that is single-party leadership with no accountability. We don't have grown-ups in charge. This isn't left versus right anymore. This is common sense versus crazy. And so it doesn't matter which one of them, they represent the same thing, which is single-party establishment rule. Two people who have been in office for years, who have just watched and not lifted a finger to do anything about this fraud, wouldn't even talk about the fraud. So no matter which one of them wins tonight, we're going to tackle that and go after them with this, because we cannot, as Minnesotans, sit by and reelect the same people who brought us to this position.
Congratulations, Michelle. 30-point blowout win, and first time ever on a ballot, first time in the political world. That's certainly impressive. Do you think that is a message that will resonate in November, that you're a newcomer to this?
Again, yeah, I think, look, I'm an outsider. I did not get into this because I'm dying to be a career politician. That's not what this is about. This is about more than me. It's about more than just one person. This is about the state of Minnesota and bringing it back on track. And so, yes, I think that message has already resonated, and it's going to continue to do so, because I'll say this again and again and again. We cannot continue to reelect people who have brought our state to this place and think that they should expect a promotion out of that. I'm not going to teach my kids that kind of abject failure deserves promotion and shouldn't be held accountable for. No way. I think Minnesotans want more. They certainly deserve more. And it looks like they're going to demand more.
And, of course, this is one of the races that will be watched for a potential flip from a Democratic seat now held by Tina Smith, who obviously is retiring. But you'll welcome that national attention and support, I imagine.
There's no question about it. I mean, I think everyone around the country has looked at Minnesota and said, what's going on there? I talked to people who have traveled this summer who have said they're embarrassed to tell other people where they are from. They don't want to say we're from Minnesota because they don't know how to explain all of the insanity that has taken course here over the last several years. And the only way to explain it is the same people from one party have been in charge of the entire thing. So it's time for outsiders. Look, there are no grown-ups in the room right now. We have got to bring outsiders in to clean up this mess, and that's what I want to help do.
Michelle, we know it's been a long day and a long evening already, so we'll let you go, but we are thankful for your time. We're happy for your success, and we look forward to cheering you on going into November.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care. All the best, and congratulations again. Michelle Tafoya, candidate for Minnesota Senator, and Scott, you can just hear the excitement in her voice, and why not? What an impressive opening shot in the political world for her to overcome not getting the endorsement at the state convention, and then someone who just seems to have used that almost to spur herself on her candidacy to really get going. And as time went on, it just didn't take long for you to realize that she was going to be a really strong candidate in this primary. And she's going to need it if Peggy Flanagan hangs on to win this. As crazy as you and I can look at Peggy Flanagan and say that she's going to have a massive Democrat blue machine behind her in the state of Minnesota. I just can't wait for this campaign. This is going to be must-see TV, as the Democrats try to make Peggy Flanagan someone that's relatable and someone that everyday Minnesotans can connect with, and she's far from that. I am really encouraged about the opportunities here for the Republicans to do something that maybe would have seemed unheard of just a few months ago.
Yeah, and remember this, most times nobody pays attention because they just assume Democrats are going to win these statewide races. Well, that's changing. And something else that's interesting in this, she was not the endorsed candidate by the Republican Party, which for a long time has been very important to a candidate's success in the primary. And she beat Adam Schwartzy by 30 points, the endorsed candidate. So that's another interesting dynamic. We do have some new numbers now. We're up to about 60% of the vote in Minnesota. These just came in the last few minutes. And the race, really the only one left tonight we're watching, remains, again, a pretty significant lead for Peggy Flanagan. This is just amazing how this hasn't changed much at all. 54.39% of the vote for Flanagan. Angie Craig about 10 points behind, 11 points behind at 43%.
Yeah, you've got 60% of the vote in. And, Scott, we've not seen anything out of the pattern all night long in this one. So to expect that anything is going to change from this point, I don't know how this happens. This would be one, I think, that would flummox the longest-running statistician you can find if there's a change here. I think they got to be getting ready to celebrate at Flanagan headquarters. That race has not been called by anybody that we've seen so far, but she's got a 30,000 vote lead in this one right now. So it's going to be really hard for her to lose this one tonight. And kind of going back to the Tafoya storyline, I think we say in the sales world that you just want a story to tell. In the sales world, you want a story to tell. In the political world, I think it's the same thing, and you want to show that you are a clear difference from the other side. And Michelle Tafoya, for all the arrows that she took on the life issue in this primary campaign, it probably turns into less of a talker going forward now. Certainly is some, it may be difficult to get some Republicans. So the Royce White backers and the Adam Schwartzy backers, will they come out for Michelle Tafoya? I don't know if they will. I hope they do, because this is a generational opportunity for Minnesota Republicans.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's you know what? It's kind of fun because sometimes there's not a lot of drama in Minnesota politics, but things are definitely changing in that regard. And this is going to be a fun one to watch between now and November. No doubt about it. We're kind of out of drama, Steve.
Well, we need them to call this race on the Damuth race has already been called, by the way, by Decision Desk. They are the only ones out there. We're watching some network news feeds, and CNN, Newsmax, Fox News, none of them have called this race yet, but Decision Desk is pretty good at this. But it is that Craig Flanagan race that is probably the last one that we're interested in. And I have to just say one more time how surprised I am, and congratulations and job well done to Erica Yoni, who absolutely wiped the floor with Shelley Carlson tonight, the Moorhead mayor, who is looking to take her game to the next level in Minnesota House District 4A. And Yoni, the newcomer to politics, the endorsed candidate from the party convention, with a 2-1 margin. And all the precincts have reported now 2,800 votes to about 1,500. This was never close from the very beginning as the races came through. So I think it's the Flanagan-Craig race right now, which it's been 7 points and 8 points, and then all of a sudden up to 11, where we've stayed for quite some time.
Here's an interesting data dump. Minnesota just went to 75 of 87 counties reporting, so we're at 73% of precincts reporting. Look at this, Steve. Peggy Flanagan jumps to 58 to Angie Craig's 39.
Holy smokes, it's over.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It's over 58% to 39.
It's rough number 60-40.
On the true, yeah, exactly. On the vote count, 334,000 to 225. This one's a whooping. Now, this is like you said, 20%. And we've not seen a call on this one, but gosh, we got to be.
Well, these, of course, the numbers just literally dropped a minute ago. So, yeah, this is. This Decision Desk is calling it. There's no doubt that's not going to change. It isn't.
Yep. No. None of the major news organizations have called this race, but I mean, I don't know what else you can come up with at this point.
What's weird is Fox is saying 36% of the vote when I'm looking at the Secretary of State with the 72.86%. So they're lagging behind, too, on the networks. But that was really the last piece of drama we had. There wasn't much drama in the Senate race on the Republican side, Michelle Tafoya, or in the governor's race for the Democrats and Angie Craig. Early on, it was watching that governor's race close. That's now been called for Lisa Demuth with a pretty significant win over Mike Lindell. And the last bit of drama we were watching was the Democratic race for Senate. And this last data dump now puts a pretty significant lead, 60-40 for Flanagan over Angie Craig. So put a fork in tonight's election results.
And even though that race with Demuth, Lindell Qualls has been called, you might be curious how those numbers continue to pile in. And as Scott mentioned, 73% of the vote in now. That lead continues to grow. It's about 45 to 31, so a 14-point margin there. So no question about it. That one is said and done. There must be something in the Minnesota Democrat base or the precincts and the makeup of them that is preventing a call, because we've got now, with, like we said, basically 3 out of every 4 votes in Minnesota counted, and a massive lead for Peggy Flanagan, yet nobody is calling that race. And you're right, Scott. I think you could just as well say you can call it, but it has not happened officially yet. And so that's very interesting to me that we still don't see a call on that one. We've had a call in the Tafoya race, the Demuth race, the Klobuchar race, but not in that one. That is the one that is still out there to be called. So I guess the question is, how long does this take for us to get any sort of clarity on that particular race? And
I think the clarity is 60-40.
I don't know what else you need to know.
With 72% of the vote counted
at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that last dump really took away any, if there was any drama left or uncertainty left, it certainly has gone away.
Well, let's do this. Let's take one more break here, and we'll try to get Lisa Demuth on the phone. She is, we would think, in a pretty good mood here tonight for a little Spike the Football, and we'll see if we get a final call. I just think we have to be minutes away from some calls on that race with Craig and Flanagan. So we may just be a few minutes away from having the last result in that we need to. So we're going to take a short break. Come back on the other side. Still an opportunity for you to give a call. It's 701-271-1100. A text message if you'd like to do that, and that number as well. We'll be back with more Minnesota Primary Night 2026 on AM 1100 The Flag, WZFG.
West Funeral Home in your difficult time.
Have you planned for all your life's events? At West Funeral Home and Life Tribute Center, we would be honored to have that talk of a lifetime with you. Through pre-planning, we will help honor and celebrate your journey on Earth so you can leave your family a lasting, treasured memory. Discover the difference.
West Funeral Home and Life Tribute Center. Little things make the difference.
Are you a worrier? I know I can be. In the spring, any day that I'm not in the field means another sleepless night. I am Darren Hefty with Hefty Seed Company. Farming comes with enough worries. Your corn seed shouldn't be one of them. That's why we developed Hefty brand 40 Series corn. As the only corn in the industry recommended for planting in 40-degree soils, 40 Series corn gets you into the field before anyone else. When the other guys are losing their sleep trying to get their crop in, well, my corn will already be in the ground. Plant early, sleep better with Hefty 40 Series corn.
Campaign ads, political consultants, party insiders, social media. There's no shortage of people telling you what Minnesota voters think. But here's a better question. What do swing voters actually think about Minnesota's race for the U.S. Senate? At Minnesota Farm Fest, the swing voter pilot put the focus on Minnesota's independent and undecided voters, the people who can make the difference when November comes. They heard from the candidates. They considered the issues. And then researchers asked them what they thought. Who wins on the issues? Who made the strongest impression? And which candidates win with swing voters? The results might confirm what you've been hearing, or they might surprise you. Don't settle for somebody else's political spin. See the research, inform your vote. Visit theswingvoterpilot.com. theswingvoterpilot.com.
This month at Luther Family Buick GMC, bold deals mean big savings. Get behind the wheel of a 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 with 0% APR plus employee pricing for everyone on Sierra. Or elevate every drive in a new Buick Envision with 0% APR for 5 years. Power, capability, and premium style. Whatever drives you, now's the time to make your move. Stop in today. Luther Family Buick GMC, I-29 and 32nd Avenue South, Fargo. We are professional grade.
Attention North Dakota veterans. Did you know there is free transportation provided to veterans for medical appointments? This service is at no cost to you and available in several highly rural counties throughout the state. Contact your county veteran service officer for further information. North Dakota Veterans Affairs, proudly serving veterans from around the state with additional resources.
This message is sponsored by the Department of Veteran Affairs and aired in cooperation by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association and this station.
When was the last time you looked at your basement and thought, this could be so much more? An egress window transforms a dark, unfinished space into a brighter, safer, and more inviting room for you and your family. Whether you're planning a bedroom, a family room, or home office, Precision Concrete Cutters Ramjack North can help make it happen. Contact the experts and learn more about the benefits of an egress window. Go to pccnd.com.
Most contractors get paid when things break. At H.A. Thompson & Sons, they get paid to keep them from breaking. That's the power of the Link Service Maintenance Program, where your goals and theirs perfectly align. They build custom, all-inclusive contracts that reduce downtime, cut repair costs, and slash your energy bills. And with 24/7 expert support from over 30 technicians, you'll get legendary service without the emergency surprises. Let's keep your systems running and your business thriving with H.A. Thompson & Sons. Find out more at hatandsons.com.
This is Decision 2026 on the Flag.
Well, we knew it wasn't going to take long, and it hasn't. Decision Desk, CNN are at least two that have now called the Minnesota Democrat governor's primary for Peggy Flanagan. And she has gotten stronger as the night has gone on. With 82% of the vote in now, she has a 58, almost 59% to 39%, a 20-point lead. That margin has grown throughout the evening. And, Scott, it's going to be Michelle Tafoya against Peggy Flanagan. A text message from listener Greg says, this is the matchup we wanted as Republicans. I think he's right.
Yeah, and it becomes a national race. I mean, this will be on the radar of the balance of the Senate, the power. So... and again, Peggy Flanagan, not unlike what they did in Michigan, is the far-left candidate. There's no way she's going to own the fraud thing as lieutenant governor. So, yeah, this is going to be a fascinating race. Game on for November.
I think it's going to be a tremendous energy boost for Republicans in Minnesota. And I think you could hear in Michelle's voice when we talked to her just a few minutes ago. She was saying all the right things about it doesn't matter who, they're both out there or whatever. But you just know deep inside that your job as a candidate is to show I'm different than that person. Very much easier, I think, to say I'm different than Angie Craig or different than Peggy Flanagan compared to just about anybody. I mean, some of Flanagan's comments that she's made over the years have been just stunning. And the way she has advocated for certain things and turned her back on other things. I don't know if you would call her a DSA candidate, Scott, but she certainly checks a lot of those boxes.
No question about it. Absolutely. Only drama left tonight is going to be who wins that Wisconsin governor's Democratic primary. It's still a dead heat. It's unbelievable.
It's gotten closer as the night has gone on. Last time we checked on it was about a 500 vote margin. Now it's about 350.
And that one will be decided probably in a recall.
Yeah, that's 39.9 to 39.9. And there's been about 600,000 people that have voted in that race. All right. Couple of last-minute comments coming in here. Luke, who's been watching us on the YouTube stream, says, I won't be voting for Tafoya. I don't support an outright ban on abortion. And this is Tafoya's quote, and I believe there should be reasonable access in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy. Scott, this is a very real thing for Michelle Tafoya. It's been a resounding win tonight, no question, but can she get everybody out that voted for Mike Lindell and all the people that were in that race?
Yeah, I mean, given the resounding win in a Republican primary, I think that gives you the answer there. And again, when you're talking about now a race between her and the Republican, Peggy Flanagan, you're going to have a pretty clear choice there, even if you don't like. And I'm a pro-life candidate. I mean, I've never, ever voted for anybody that was not pro-life. But in Minnesota, if you're again looking politically at the makeup, that's not going to hurt her in a general election race against Peggy Flanagan. In fact, it could bring some of those squishy suburban moms along.
Yeah, the wrong race there. Mike Lindell obviously running for the governor, not senator. But will the Adam Schwartzes and the Royce White fans, Tom Weiler, who took fourth, will those people come along? She's going to need every vote that she can get, and it will not be easy. And we can look at Peggy Flanagan and say she's certifiably insane, but she will have the entire establishment of the Big Blue Machine behind her. But I think Republicans have to be very energized about this and their ability to tell a story that common sense Minnesotans, and there are a lot of them out there, that they will get behind. So it's going to be a really fun fall. I'm excited to watch and to cover this race because I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating. But I have to believe that Minnesota Republicans are feeling enthusiastic, and I think more and more of the establishment side of the Republicans were kind of hoping for a Demuth win tonight as well, and they got that also. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be really interesting. But it's been a great night here for us. So with that, we want to say thanks to you for being part of our evening here. We'll be back on the radio here in just a few hours. Kevin and Alex with the Need to Know Morning Show, they'll be talking about this. I'll come along at 9 o'clock, and then Scotty as well will be along with the What's on Your Mind program to recap all of this. For Addison, JT, and Michael in the control room, and for my broadcast partner, Scott Hennen and Steve Hallstrom, saying thanks for being with us. Have a good night, and keep on flying that flag.